get my phone connected to that so I just
Oh, you don't have it
focus.
yet?
No.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do that
I
Monday.
think you
Let
tried
me
to
know.
talk me through it, but you know, I'm so old, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, let me know.
Air track later. What? Come on, dude. Don't do this to me. I'm not good at troubleshooting people.
What's
Get
going
it
on?
together. It's freaking together. Dude, like, why? But you're in there.
I got a sandwich and head out.
Take it easy, please.
Was live. So she takes, he takes.
Testing 1, 2. Are you guys able to hear me out there? Just to check.
Yes, yes, we can.
Awesome sauce. Thank you.
So we've got name tags for them? We have name tags for them?
No, she said do the paper. I don't know what happened. I told her to get the name tags. She thought I said don't get the name tags. I don't know why she would
Well,
thought.
the weird thing was she was ordering them and I said, order one for me too. I want to have a name tag. And she
Yeah.
said, you don't have them? I said, no. So she ordered mine, but she ordered any commissioners.
Somehow she said I told her to hold off. I don't know why. What I do? We're good. Yeah, we're good.
we're
Yeah.
good.
Oh, sorry. I need to put. I,
Good evening. Welcome to City Affairs Planning Commission for July 7th of 2021. May we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Jimenez,
Present.
Commissioner Gomez,
Here.
Commissioner Lopez,
Present.
Vice Chair Hammond,
Here.
Chair Shively.
Present. If we can have a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Jimenez.
Please stand. Right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 5, there's no presentation at this time. Item 6, consent calendar. The 3 current commissioners have any errors and omissions from meeting minutes from June 16th, 2021?
No, we're good.
No?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
So if we can have a motion, please?
Did you want public comment? I don't know if you did.
Not on that one.
Okay.
That's on consent calendar.
Okay. I'll second.
We got a motion from Commissioner Jimenez, second from Vice Chair Hammond.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir?
did you do public comment for the consent calendar?
Sorry, no, I didn't.
Oh.
Is there any member of public wishing to speak on Planning Commission meeting minutes for June 16th? Seeing none, go ahead and close public comment. Do we have to,
There was a motion and a second already.
yes, sir.
Then I think we can proceed on the vote.
Okay.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes?
Commissioner Gomez,
Can't vote on it, they weren't here.
Wasn't here.
You would abstain.
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 Commissioner Lopez,
Abstain.
Vice Chair Hammond,
Yes.
Chair Shively.
Yes.
With a vote of 3 yes and 2 abstentions, this motion passes.
Thank you. If we could do a brief pause and have the Assistant Attorney Attorney give us a brief parliamentary procedure for the new members.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. For those who don't know me, my name is Robert Q. I'm the Assistant City Attorney. I'm the attorney that's assigned to these meetings. Just as a matter of procedure, I just wanted to go over very quickly for the benefit of the new commissioners. Generally speaking, the public hearing process for these under agenda item number 7, the public hearing procedure is basically this, is that for each item, the public hearing will be opened. Staff will give a presentation on the item, and then the planning commission members will, in order per the chair's, he'll guide you through it, but you ask basically factual questions of staff, basic information, no deliberations, no discussions. That'll occur at a later point. And then once that's done, once everyone is done asking questions, factual questions of staff, then the applicant will make their presentation at that point. When that's done, again, factual questions to the applicant and so forth. Once that portion is done, then the public hearing will then be opened to members of the public to provide their testimony. And then once they're done, then the applicant will be provided an opportunity to respond to any testimony that was provided. And once that is done, then we will close the public hearing for that item. And then at that point, members of the commission, you may be able to deliberate, discuss about the project. And when that's done, then the chair will, once that's done, the chair will call for a motion, a second, and then you will vote on the project, basically.
Thanks, sir. If we can go to item 7A, open public hearing for open public hearing for Parks Master Plan and update to the existing Park and Recreation Master Plan. Focus on the growth of the community service development, park services, parkland acquisition, park renovations, and identity priorities of capital improvements. The requested action is a continuance of the item to the Planning Commission public hearing on August 4th, 2021. Is there any member of public wishing to speak on this matter? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing for item 7A and bring it to Planning Commissioners for the continuation of item 7A. We just need a motion and a second. We got a motion from Vice Chair Hammond, second from Commissioner Jimenez.
Mr. Chair, if I may, just to be clear, you're moving to continue it to August 4th, 2021.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Commissioner Gomez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Hammond,
Yes.
Chair Shively.
Yes.
With the vote of 5 yes, this motion passes.
Thank you. If we go to item 7B, open public hearing for ordinance amendment 21-05110 and ordinance amendment to comprehensively update chapter 19.81 of the zoning code to regulate secondary dwelling units in compliance with the state law in support of the regional housing needs assessment of the city. The requested actions to adopt resolution 21-11 recommended to the city council approve its ordinance amendment 21-05110 to comprehensively update Chapter 19.81 of the zoning code to regulate advisory dwelling units. The requested action at this time is the continuance of this item to the Planning Commission public hearing of July 21st, 2021. Is there any member of public wishing to speak on this matter? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing for this item and bring it to Planning Commission as a continuation of item of this Planning Commission to hearing on by July 21st, 2021. We have a motion from Vice Chair Hammond. And we have a second from Commissioner Lopez.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Commissioner Gomez, Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Hammond,
Yes.
Chair Shively.
Yes.
With the vote of 5 yes, this motion passes.
If we can move to item 7C, Development Plan Review DPR 20-00011. A proposal to construct a 248,442 square foot speculative industrial building on approximately 11 acres located at the southwest corner of Ryder Street and Redlands Avenue within the light industrial zone of the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan. Requested actions adopt resolution number 21-08, adopting mitigated negative declaration 2357, and approving Development Plan Review 20-00011 to allow construction of a 248,442 square foot industrial warehouse building on approximately 11.17 acres of land located at the southwest corner of Ryder Street and Wilson Avenue based on the findings and the conditions of approval. We'll open. We are ready. Do we have any ex parte communications? Did you
I visited the site and just drove by there. Frequent way of travel for me, so I travel there almost daily.
Thank you.
Yes, I also visited the site and, of course, didn't contact anyone, just visited the site.
Commissioner Lopez, any? No? Commissioner Gomez, any?
I do pass by the site daily as well.
Thank you.
I have seen it.
Can we have presentation, please?
Hello. I want to make sure it works this time. Thank you, and first and foremost, congratulations, Commissioner Gomez and Commissioner Lopez. Welcome, and congratulations, Commissioner Jimenez, for another term. As the chair stated, this evening we have before you the Core 5 Industrial Project. The subject site is located within the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan with a light industrial land use designation. I don't see the PowerPoint changing. It's changing on this computer, but it's not. Oh, now it's changing. My apologies. Located at the southwest corner of Ryder Street and Wilson Avenue, surrounded by other light industrial uses. The image we have before you is a street view along Wilson looking west. This image is a street view along Ryder Street looking southwards. This is an interior view looking east of the project site where once there stood a single-family residence. And this is a street view looking north, taken further south along Wilson. With respect to the site plan, as the chair stated, we're looking at a 248,442 square foot industrial building on 11.17 acres. The subject site is mainly oriented along and parallel to Wilson Avenue. The majority of the parking will take place on the northern portion of the subject site and some overflow parking towards the south with access towards the west side of the building. The main access for employees will be taken from Ryder, where they can come in directly and not have to go through any truck bays. There will be 2 access points along Wilson. The northern access point on Wilson will be just for trucks only to come in and access the truck bays without having to come in and drive through the same driveways as the employee parking. And the southern access point along Wilson will be a shared truck and employee vehicle entrance, but with a traffic calming control, which will be subject of lighted stop signs that the traffic engineer and the city engineer will be working out in detail. The project site also has an outdoor gym and shaded sitting area just adjacent to the building, so the employees don't have to cross the parking lot to access and enjoy the amenities. The subject site also provides 148 standard parking stalls, including ADA and charging stations, and also provides 12.5% of landscaping, exceeding the landscape requirement. With respect to the industrial development standards, it meets and exceeds in certain circumstances. And with respect to the parking standards, there was a modification. There was a different number. The parking requirement was higher in the staff report, and as it turns out, it was much less. But the applicant is providing far above and beyond the parking needed for the project, so it still complies. These are elevations of the project site. The one you see before you is the Ryder Street and the Wilson Avenue. The building architecture is modern. The design elements include a combination of roof lines, decorative cornices, vertical columns, recessed windows, and the use of off-white stacked veneer with recessed panels. I believe the color boards are circulating so you can see it a little bit better. The stone veneer is provided at the office entrances, and it provides a balance at the entryways to provide some symmetry to the building. And the color palette is a combination of tans, whites, and grays. to complement the stone and provide visual interest for the building. And here's the interior elevation of the project and the south elevation. With respect to CEQA, a mitigated neg deck was prepared, number 2357. It was circulated for public review for 30 days. Within those 30 days, staff received 5 comment letters from the public, from Jeff Martinjowski from Creed LA, Adam Salcido, Stacy Orborn from Jury LLP, Riverside County Flood, and the Golden State Environmental Justice Alliance. The first 4 agencies and individuals just wanted to be notified for any actions and for records. And the Golden State Environmental Justice had comments with respect to the MND file. But nevertheless, responses to the comments were prepared and were included for public review in the final MND. Therefore, staff's recommendation this evening is for the Planning Commission to adopt PC Resolution 2108 based on the findings and attached exhibits, to adopt mitigated neg deck 2357, and to approve DPR 20-00011, subject to conditions. Also, for the record, I wanted to note that there was an amendment to engineering condition number 16, where it should reread that the median shall be 10 feet and not 12 feet wide, and that the asphalt paving to the north side shall be 14 feet and not 10 feet. So just for the record, again, that is condition number 16. And that concludes my presentation. I'm available for any comments that the commissioners may have. Also, Mr. Dane Pelagian and Mr. John Kelly, the applicant representatives and applicants, are here present tonight if the commissioners have any further questions. Thank you.
I believe I first need to make a clarification. On the agenda item, listed agenda item, the cross streets are Ryder and Redlands. Under the presentation, the streets are Ryder and Wilson Avenue.
That is correct, Chair. The project is along Wilson and Ryder.
Okay. Do we have any questions for staff, Commissioner Jimenez?
I would like to clarify because on here, I'm glad you pointed that out. That was one of my questions about why the change went from, what was it, 14 to 10? So it stands at 14 feet, right, under condition
Correct.
16?
Right. As I was explained from engineering, yes.
Perfect, thank you.
Yes.
I also wanted to see if you could discuss a little bit more in detail the traffic flow for exiting the building and entering the location.
Okay. I'll defer that to Mr. John Porcazimi. Yeah, I think there's a delay.
I don't hear your mic at all.
Yeah, it's on this screen. I'm not sure why it's not.
Can we go back to the site plan, please? Thank you.
There we go.
Your microphone's not working. You want to switch microphones to someone next to you?
Okay, try this.
Much better.
So the driveway on Ryder Street, that one's going to be for autos only. And the northerly driveway on Wilson Avenue, that's going to be designated for truck access only, and it'd be a right-in, right-out. The same applies to the southerly access on Wilson Avenue. At the request of the applicant, only as a secondary, how can I explain it? As a secondary point of access for autos. They requested if the autos can use that driveway also. Of course, there will be some control, maybe lighted stop signs. We'll have to determine that through design stage. However, the primary access for the autos is from Ryder Street. And as you can see, the parking for the autos are to the north and the south of the building, and the truck access and the bays are along the easterly of the project site.
And it's gonna be right in, left out, right, for the trucks?
Correct. Trucks can't go south on Wilson. So they can only come in from Ryder into Wilson and then exit that same way.
John, just real quickly, the trucks, they should not be going south on Wilson, correct?
Correct.
They only should be going north.
They can only go north, correct.
Okay. You know, another thing I wanted to bring up is I noticed that there was gonna be signals on both Redlands and Wilson.
Correct. The way the traffic study analyzed the volumes of traffic and controls, so there's going to be a traffic signal at Ryder and Wilson, and they're also required to have a signal on Redlands and Ryder, which that one is up right now. Actually, is functioning.
That just concerns me a little bit because that's my main thoroughfare to come back down into Paris. Because for the people that live up north, it's easier for us to take Ryder if we're coming shopping towards Cardenas, Food for Less, Stater Brothers. I'm just concerned because there's so many stoplights, and I actually went in research. The recommendation normally is half a mile between signals, and this is 0.2 miles. But there was a traffic study done?
Correct. Yeah, and that analyzes that the traffic signal is based on the volumes of traffic and controls. Correct. There's a warrant analysis that has to be conducted.
And let me see, I don't remember the correct term. It was a light with, I think it was the latest, or it had a certain term in there that didn't clarify what that meant, if it was timed, if it was sensors, or if it was sensors and time, either or.
I'm not familiar with that criteria,
Let me
Commissioner
see.
Jimenez, but I can look into it if.
It was under condition number 20, I think it was. Let me see if I could find it. No,
Condition number 20 in this?
I think it was. Let me see if I could locate it. I made a note. It was on page 41, I believe, or 41 on the way we're looking at it online. It says, the intersection of Redlands Avenue and Ryder Street shall be signalized and improved to ultimate design and shall be concrete paved to withstand. But what does that mean, to ultimate design?
That means all legs shall be completed. So at ultimate design, that means Ryder is going to be improved to ultimate design per general plan, so would Wilson. So not necessarily just their half-width improvements.
Okay. I guess that was my only concern, was just traveling down that road, like I said, daily, and if I'm going to district office, that's the way I go. It just seems like there's way too many traffic signals for actual traffic flow.
Well, for safety purposes and control, that's what the signals are warranted.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. That was it for now.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, waiter? I'm sorry.
That was it for now.
Oh, okay. To piggyback on that, I think when you talk about concrete, but you're talking about the paving, it's not a 1/4 inch. You probably want to mention it's not, if for trucks, it's going to be a little thicker than the typical residential. So you're talking, you may want to explain that it's not, when you're driving cars versus driving trucks. So the thickness of the concrete when you're talking about intersection with standard trucks.
Correct. There's a standard for, it's a Caltrans standard actually to accommodate the weight of the trucks.
Yeah. Okay. I only had one question in that, and it's the southern portion for trucks. It's going to be, if trucks are using that access for any reason, they're going to be turning left to go up Wilson. Now, is this where the fire trucks were planned to go through, the fire engines, the Knox box and all that, or they also going to be at the northern end? In other words, on Wilson, would they, if the fire truck had entered, it could go either one, but would that be a special one for emergency at the bottom? You don't want passenger vehicles unless it's absolutely necessary, so it's an overflow parking. So when you're showing that blue arrow, we're talking about passengers going either way, obviously, auto vehicles, but the trucks have to turn left. So when you talk about a lighted intersection within the facility, the trucks, that's going to be interesting because we don't have a lot of volume of trucks going there because you got a problem. But Ryder is heavy at times, but Wilson isn't. But if they're turning left to go up Wilson, it's hopefully not that much along Wilson going north. Now Wilson has to be, it's a 66 or 67 foot, right? I think it's a, what we used to call it. What we used to call it?
Wilson is a collector. It's a 66.
66,
correct.
okay.
So you have a center turn lane.
And there's no median on Wilson, the only median's on Ryder.
Correct.
Because this wouldn't work if there was.
That's right.
Okay. I have one other question. I promise I won't take long on this one. In number 17, we're talking, and I do this on almost every one of them, so I think you already know where I'm going with this one. To be consistent with other projects, your Public Works in number 4, we talked about 1-year maintenance on landscape. It's on the other ones. It probably needs to be mentioned here. So while we're doing is referencing the Public Works number 4 that talks about a 1-year maintenance, it's important because when you're talking about all of these projects that have the wording, the idea of 1-year maintenance, we're putting it in granted when we say condition of approval because you have inspections that occur naturally, the first, second, and third inspections that occur, but we're talking about 1-year maintenance, even though Public Works is there, and it should be more than just a reference. It should say 1-year maintenance in terms of the plants and things of that nature. So I think we're just being consistent with other projects to say that it should be number 17 would just include a reference to Public Works number 4. I think it's number 4, that there would be the 1-year maintenance. I know the landscaping champion here has been nice. Yeah. She's been nice so far, so good. But that's just the only thing. I think clarifying the southern entrance because of trucks going in. This has been our issue for the last several months, is cars and trucks intermingling. So I don't think that's an issue because they put it up north on Ryder. Obviously, trucks, you're on Ryder all the time. If you're going on Ryder, and I saw one today on another project of theirs, coming out. I just passed right by him, so it was perfect timing. And he was going left on Ryder, and boy, the traffic's going, and this guy's got to pull out, and everybody's got to stop. Yeah. So when you go north on Ryder to Ryder Street going left, it becomes an issue if it's 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. So even then, there's no way around it because you want them to go that direction. But I'm just saying, it's not ironclad just because you go there. If you're going out on Ryder Street, it could become an issue. If you're going out on Wilson, it's another issue. So that's one of those things where it can become a traffic issue. When you talk about traffic studies, if you're heading out on Ryder as opposed to Wilson. Even Redlands is not as much because, of course, it's not developed as much yet. But Ryder is major. So that was one of the questions. I think it's not such an issue since you're exiting trucks going on Wilson. It's not really that bad. And at the intersection, traffic signal, I think, is necessary. But I just wanted to clarify that you're going to have trucks and vehicles, according to the city, going in and out of that southeastern entrance. So that, is there going to be a Knox box or something for fire, or are they just a fire just whenever the fire gets in? In other words, there's a gate. You've got a circle in red. Is there a gate there or something that's going to be
I think
A
they
tubular
show
gate?
gates, correct. They
Yeah,
do show
okay.
gates at the base for
Okay.
the trucks,
Okay.
correct.
So that is meant to prevent the auto access from going in. Okay. Okay. Just want a clarification on that. That was it. Believe it or not, that was it. Shocking.
Commissioner Lopez, do you have any questions for staff?
No questions.
Commissioner Gomez?
I actually do have a question.
Green light.
It was on. Okay. So the traffic, as I agree, is an issue, especially because I too, just to see the traffic going up and down on Ryder. Considering the fact that Placentia is going to be opening up pretty soon, and I'm understanding that the trucks are only going to be going one way. Is that correct? Can you explain that to me one more time? They're only going to go north or turning right?
As you have indicated, yes, Placentia Interchange can accommodate some of the truck traffic.
Okay.
But at this time, yes, they're all required to go north towards Harley Knox to access the freeway from
Okay.
Harley Knox.
Okay. Now, pending that this is going to go through and we're going to have these trucks coming through, is there a way to have some kind of signage that controls the truck traffic from not going into residential areas? Because that has been becoming a bigger issue as construction has gone on. And I'm wondering if there's something we could work on that to a partnership, if you will.
Well, the projects are conditioned under truck routes. So that's how the drivers will be required to access the sites. As well as there will be signage indicating truck routes and monitoring, of course.
Okay, so do we have signage at this time as an example in the city?
On truck routes, I don't know. I'll have
Okay.
to find out.
Because,
Oh, go ahead. I think what might help you, too, and this is because they're new, the truck routes, the designated truck routes, would help to know that it's Indiana, some of the streets. I don't know if Redlands is. These are designated truck routes, so I think they're forced to go to Harley Knox. So it would be beneficial, and I think you have a sheet to show that the truck routes are going.
I can share real quickly, just for your information. The Placentia Avenue, that's not a truck route at this moment because there's some residential area along Placentia heading to Paris Boulevard. So all the truck traffic on this particular side has to go up to Wilson to Ryder Street, and they can't go past. They can't go past Redlands Avenue because there's some other residential component. So what they would have to do is continue further up Redlands until they go to Morgan and cross over to Indian Avenue, and then go South Indian, and then go back to Placentia when that freeway interchange is built in about a year and a half, or go up all the way Redlands, if you can imagine, to Harley Knox, and then take a left to Harley Knox to the freeway. But
Okay.
there's condition. And
Yes.
in the big picture of scheme of thing, our engineer office is working on a citation process to kind of really get this more under control.
Right.
But there's a long-term plan for that. But just wanted you to be aware of how this kind of works.
thank you, and thank you for explaining that to me. That sounds good to me. I like the fact that it's on the record.
Thank you. The only question I have is whether the two exterior employee indemnities are covered or are they not?
Yeah, the additional employee amenity will be added. It is conditioned to provide the amenities.
Is it covered on above or?
Oh,
is
yes, it is covered. I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have any further questions. Any commissioners have any further questions for staff? No? Thank you, sir. Does the applicant wish to make a presentation at this time?
Well, good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. My name is John Kelly. I'm with Core 5 Industrial Partners. We're the applicant and developer as well as the property owner. So I want to first start off by thanking Alfredo and the rest of the staff for working hard and diligently for the last, I think it's been over a year and a half, going through COVID, getting us to this point. So thanks, staff, for all that time and effort. So I don't have a formal presentation to give, but I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. My consultants a couple are here, and then the rest are, I think, participating via Zoom.
Thank you. Is there any questions for applicant, Commissioner Jimenez?
I think everybody knows what I'm going to ask. This 12.5. So I see a lot of spaces where we could have trellises because it's a lot of empty space when you're looking at, it's a long building. It really is a big building. I see a lot of empty spaces where there's a little tree here and there, but we have opportunity for trellises. So can we maybe add a little bit of landscaping? That's
Are we talking on the east side?
the north side
The north
and
side,
the
got it.
southern elevation as well. The west.
Yeah.
The west is interior, so I'm not really worried about that one really, but the one that's facing Ryder Street,
I would think that we can. I mean, I'm not looking at a landscape plan, so I don't know the density of that, of the number of trees. I would think that we have trees every 30 feet on center, but I don't see, I mean, it never hurts to add a few trees. Is that what you're requesting?
yeah, can we move to that slide that has the elevations, please? Or IT team, because I'm counting 10 trees across the north side, and it's very long.
Okay, is it coming up?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think that's a good depiction of our vertical landscaping. But,
There it goes.
yeah.
So when I look at this, and I was looking at the conditions of how spaced out the trees are, we have a lot of space in between the trees.
We do. To answer your question, yes, we can add some trees.
Okay. Trees or, even like those trellises that are wall climbing plants, just to kind of break it up so it's a little bit more.
Okay, yeah. We'll take a
Organic
look
looking.
at those trellis-type plants. We need to be concerned about maintenance, but we'll look at the
Yes.
different variety of plants and trees. That's a good point.
Okay. I think that was it. The colors work well with that area, with the one that was presented 2 weeks ago, so it goes with that theme. So the colors were good. It's just the landscaping. Thank you.
Okay, you bet.
Commissioner Lopez?
No questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Gomez?
Yes,
Any
I have a
questions?
question. It's about the colors.
Okay.
So I see that blue is on there, but where exactly? Because I did see some blue in the mirror of the windows.
It's windows.
The windows. I'd like to see more blue. That would be because of the color scheme. It's grays and tans, and it's I don't know. There's some buildings that you look at them and they're beautiful, like just there's a pop of color, and the windows do the job. But if there can be some more blue added to that to give it a little more pop. I mean, I've seen some other ones. I'm not sure who the builder is, but in the city, they look nice to look at. You have the greenery and the more blue. I think you're looking at something that's more pleasant than just an industrial building. It's a beautiful building, but just give it a little more blue. Of course, that's just my preference.
Commissioner Gomez, if we can only keep it to factual questions.
Yes, I'm sorry, but okay, then I would. Where can you put more blue on here?
So are you thinking just kind of swatches of blue, or are you thinking maybe large panels of blue? So if we look at the north elevation where we have those two pods that have a pair of trees, and we have some clear story windows above, are you thinking about maybe you would like to see some high density blues in those areas? Or just accent blues?
This is.
I think the intention is to perhaps try to incorporate some more blue
Yeah.
throughout the scheme of the color
Panels
palette.
would be nice.
Really quickly, you can also just make a request that staff works with the staff to add some blue accents, or you just give us some general direction. We can work with the applicant if you feel comfortable with that.
I believe Thank you. I do believe he's on it though. I think he understands me.
I do. And I'll work with planning to add some additional accents, okay, just to brighten up the elevation. I see your point.
Thank
Commissioner
you.
Gomez, any further questions for?
No more factual questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Hammond?
No, I'm good.
Thank you. I don't have any questions for the applicant at this time as well. Thank you for your term.
All right, thank you.
Is there any member of public wishing to speak on this matter? I have two that wish to address the city council, or excuse me, to the, it says city council on here, planning commission. I have Jason Baez.
Honorable Council, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. And I just have to say it, it is a very beautiful building, but that blue would really, really enhance its look if you really look at it. But anyhow, my name is Jason Baez. I'm a member of Labor's International Union of North America, and we're here tonight in full support of this project. And just for the record, we also are very ecstatic about the approval of IDI Logistics' upcoming Item D project on the agenda, and we want to sincerely thank you for that. Now, in regards to the 250,000 speculative industrial building, this project could not have came at a better time. You know, our nation is in the process of recovery, and this is perfect timing on this matter. This project can be a launching pad for local young people who wish to endeavor to have a career in union construction, earning a living wage with benefits. This project can also enable local workers to work closer to home, to be with their families, which is a positive long-term investment in our city as well. And this project will bring in long-term revenue for our city that can be used on schools, community projects, rehabilitation of utilities and roads. You know, a lot of the community doesn't realize your heavy responsibilities on tending to these matters. And this can be a plus asset in that endeavor. This project will continue to be a wellspring of fortune to the community as it'll bring in logistics jobs. And a lot of people put down logistics jobs, but logistics companies are well known for giving equal opportunity, for training new people into the workforce. And there's a long list of people who are interested in these particular types of jobs for various different reasons, such as older folks that have to return to the field because of the high cost of living, people who have some, injuries to their body and want something a little more mellow to work with, and people who don't like to work in the sun, and of course, people who are new to the field. So there's so many positive things that this project can do for our community, and I'm just sincerely pleading with you to please consider all those wonderful things that this project can bring. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have Stephen Pice, I'm sorry about the last name, Pice-Sion.
Thank you for letting me speak tonight. My name is Stephen Peepcorn, and I'm with the Golden State Environmental Justice Alliance. We've submitted a comment letter to the Mitigated Negative Declaration. Our letter identified several deficiencies with the MND. The deficiencies include, but are not limited to, project piecemealing, air quality, energy, greenhouse gas emissions, hazards, and hazardous materials, land use and planning, population and housing, and transportation. The city's elected and appointed officials have the obligation to protect the citizens of this city from environmental and social injustice, to protect the environment we all share and live in. and to make environmentally responsible development decisions. We stand by our comment letter and believe the M&D is flawed and a full environmental impact report must be drafted and circulated for public review. In closing, we call on this commission to be a leader on the aforementioned issues and be the first line of defense for our citizenry and environment. Only by working together can we continue to be excellent stewards of our environment, outstanding stewards to our citizens and each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any additional members of the public wish to speak on this matter? See none. Does the applicant wish to rebuttal on any of these issues?
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yes, sir.
I see that there's a number of people on Zoom. I don't know if those are public commenters or whether they're part of a team for one of the applicants. I just wanted to open that up to the Zoom people.
Is there any member of Zoom wishing to speak on these matters?
No, sir.
Right. Does the applicant wish to rebuttal on these items?
Yeah, so just real brief. So in regards to Golden State, Core 5's consultant EPD addressed all their concerns, submitted those to the city, to planning. Planning department was satisfied with the responses, and all Golden State's issues were addressed in the final mitigated neg deck. So, do you have any? If you have any specific questions, environmental questions, we can EPD. Connie from EPD is available via Zoom.
Okay. Is there any questions environmentally? No? No? All right. We have none? Okay. Thanks, sir. This time, we'll go ahead and close public meeting or public comment at this time and bring it to the council members for discussion. Commissioner Jimenez, you have any?
I think this is one of those times where, I'm sensitive and I know I hear the Golden State organization and we know that there's factors and there's impacts, but we also know that there's zoning and there's other things that take precedence. I like the building. I would like to see more greenery. And if we're going to include blue or include any other pop of color, I would like staff to work with the applicant with looking at the color schemes so that they match, because we just approved a couple our last meeting, just to make sure that there's a nice flow in the area and we don't have like a green one, a blue one. I mean, we don't need too many pops of color, just so that it's very classy. I think staff has done a great job of making sure that things flow nicely and working with applicants with color and a little bit more landscaping. Those would be, I was going to bring it up. So that was it for me. Thank you.
Commissioner Lopez?
No comments.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Gomez?
Were you going to say something? No. I felt like someone was going to say something. No factual questions, right? I can
You can,
speak.
this is your,
All right, here we go. No, I'm kidding.
this is where you want to go.
So, yes, absolutely. I think you understand what we would like, and working with our city staff would be great on that. I guess I just wanted to, I agree. That's about it.
Okay. All right, thank you. Commissioner Hammond?
Yes, I don't want to belabor the point. I think ultimately what you're planning is consistent with the other buildings. So as a commission, you're always looking at consistency, what's in the area. I have no problem. I look at other projects, what they've done prior to this. I always do that. And they're very good buildings. They're very beautiful buildings. They're landscaped well. So I don't have a problem with that. We can always add more color, and I know, and I think it's good landscaping, because by bringing up landscaping, which you have to really choose the plants correctly, because it does get rather hot. So you have to choose plants that are water efficient. You have to choose plants that meet the area standards. But we can always use good landscaping, so I don't have a problem. Obviously, because there's a lot of areas. My main concern is always access, because you can get hit with a truck more than you're going to get hit with a plant. So if there's going to be questions, I'm going to start with access. and routing, because if there's a fire or there's issues inside, it's going to be because we sat here and didn't say anything. So the route, and I think you're starting to get the idea, every one of these proposals now is starting to look at that. When we talk about routes and things of that around and inside the interior, it's for the safety of the employees, which we're concerned with as a commission. Welfare, public safety. So if people are working there, you want to be able to have access in, access out. So anytime you combine trucks with vehicles, we're going to start questioning it. So that's always going to be the case. So if you're going to come here, get ready for that. Have it prepared. That's my personal thing. So one reason I was looking at Wilson, and we go visit these sites for a reason. I'm looking at it. They're there all the time, and I go there at certain hours of the day because I'm looking at the truck traffic that's currently going to that area. And sometimes I'll ride a bike down Ryder, which can be an interesting thing. But they're going to have trails and things like that. So the city-wise, we start talking about trails and set-asides for that. Because I've gone to Ryder, and it's killer when it's hot, too. As you go down the bike trails, makes a big difference, as opposed to hoping for just a bike lane. But the idea of the city start thinking of that, you get away from cars, and you start talking about electric, you start talking about other things, so you have alternatives. So I like the fact that, when we start building these projects, they're not only environmentally sound, but we're starting about building projects that have aesthetic beauty. And so I'm glad we're getting away from this beige, called the beige city, the brown, come on, blue, gray, we're sort of getting to some other colors that really have some good schemes. And I appreciate that because, we're starting to get kind of, every building has to be the same color throughout the whole city. I don't know who came up with that. Forget the earth tones, it's 1980s, okay? We're not in the 80s and 90s, so we can start getting a little bit more creative. And we trust staff. One thing we do is we do trust staff to work with them in terms of that color scheme and things like that. So I don't have that problem. So this was pretty much set for it. I think my initial concern was that there were buildings. I thought there was going to be other buildings to the south, but they're not affected. So whatever agreements or whatever things that were established with those residents and properties, I'm assuming has already been done, because that holds up projects too. If you didn't get over the title. But all that's been done, so it's going to be cleared all the way to that side. But lastly, because you have adjoining properties, and we're talking a lot of buildings, so that rapid expansion of space needs colors and needs designs that you may not normally do, but when you have that much space being taken up by buildings, industrial buildings, you'll see buildings in the cities all white on the outside. No variations in colors, no bricks, no nothing. I don't know how you get away with that one. But we don't want to do that here. We want to have some color, some design, and so at least we as parish can say, okay, we're going to have this long 800,000 or 300,000 square foot building. At least there's some color and there's some design and some breakups, and I think they do that pretty well. So that was it for this project, and I think I appreciate all the questions that were already answered there. I don't have any other issues.
I guess I will continue from my discussion that I had from last meeting was the color palettes. That currently going on is the grays, and I'm hoping that we'll have other presentations in the future with other colors in the gray palettes that we have been seeing for the last 5-6 years or so. They do address, it appears that they do address the issue with the truck traffic and the vehicle pedestrian traffic in the site plan, and they're not mixing them, which has been one of our biggest concerns of late. And I think it's it's an issue that is very important that is addressed, so we don't have issues of people, getting and driving in front of trucks and stuff like that. I do like the fact that the exterior anemones are covered, especially if it's going to be a gym. We don't want anything to be hot and not working when it's the employees are trying to use them. Other than that, I don't have any further issues. I'm hoping that the applicant does work with staff and to revise the color palette to a degree, and then increase the landscaping as well. Yeah, they're at 12.5%. The minimum is 12%. It's there, but I'm hoping that maybe they can use some trellises along the wall to break up the color palette a little bit and to make it look a little bit better. I don't have any further comments on this. If we can have a motion for approval on this item with the addition of The applicant works with staff on the color palette and tries to increase the landscaping. In additional, those items that has been changed from the engineering.
Oh. Okay. Yes, I'm going to move that. I think it was city
16.
conditioning engineering condition number 16, and I think the changes were identified. I think it was 10 foot, 16, and boy,
Yep.
number 16, 10 feet, not 14. Okay, and I think the other one was
Back to 14.
Yeah,
It
back
was,
to
it
14.
went from
10
14 to 10, back to
10,
14.
back to 14. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that to be included, and also the other one is working with staff on the color scheme
Yep.
administratively. I don't think there was anything else. Was there?
Very good. I don't think there was anything additional.
Adding the public works statement on number 17 of the condition of approval concerning the one-year maintenance, the standard wording.
Yes.
Just by reference.
We'll put that in there.
Okay.
Can that be added on all future?
Yeah, all future.
Yes, for some reason it was not in this one, but
was gonna
we've been
be-
trying to make that consistent.
Okay.
Thank you. We have a motion from Vice Chair Hammond. We have a second from Commissioner Jimenez.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Commissioner Gomez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez,
No.
Vice Chair Hammond,
Yes.
Chair Shively.
Yes.
With a vote of 3 yes and 1 no, this motion passes.
Mr. Chair, if I may, wasn't that 4 yes?
4 yes.
My apology. 4 yes and 1 no.
This motion still passes. Okay, we can go to item 7D, major modification 20-05166 of TPM 35877 and DPR 08-01-0007, amended development agreement 21-05053, tentative parcel map 37998, TPM 21-05119, conditional use permit 21-05133, and EIR addendum 21-05054, AKA the IDI South Paris Industrial North, a proposal by IDI Logistics to adjust the parcel sizes and modify the overall building square footage of the South Paris Industrial North project, original approval of 2010, i.e. DPR 0801-007 at 3,166,456 square feet on the major modification approval in 2020, MM 19-05332 at 2,358,347 square feet, consisting of 3 industrial buildings totaling 2,840,000 square feet, 840,836 square feet, along with associated changes to the parking, landscaping, and driveway accessed on a 215.6 acre vacant site located on the northeast corner of Redlands Avenue and Ellis Avenue. The request in action is to adopt resolution number 21-13, recommending that the city council approve major modifications 20-05166, that the city council approve tentative parcel map 37998, PLN 21-05119, and development agreement amendment number 2, 21-05053, to reconfigure and adjust the parcel sizes of 3 industrial warehouse buildings, modify overall building square footages, and determine the proposal is covered under EIR Schedule 2008-071060 and adopt addendum number 2, PLN 21-05054 to the original EIR and subject to conditions of approval. Do we have any ex parte communications?
I was going to say, you want to try that again?
Yes, do I need to read that?
Can you
again?
repeat that? I drove by the site. It's in my usual roundabouts that I take along the city roads.
Yeah, Commissioner Hammond, I also drove by this site. I have more than once. Since I go to Winco almost every other day. Yeah.
I know the site pretty well as well. So, any other? No? Commissioner Gomez?
I still can't figure out where it's at.
So-
I looked at the map. I was like,
It's on the south of,
Oh, okay. Oh, yes, yes. Yes, thank you for, yes, you put me back in place, thank you.
if we could open up
I
public,
hardly go by there, as you can tell.
if we could open up public hearing on this item. We could have the presentation at this time.
Yes, good evening, Commissioners. Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Kathy Paring. I'm a planner in the Planning Department, and this is the IDI South Paris Industrial Project. The applicant is with us this evening if you have any questions of Mr. Hollis later. The application that you have before you is a major modification for 3 buildings, industrial buildings that total 2,840,836 square feet. Building number 3 has a rail spur that will service it. Also, tentative parcel map 37998 changes 4 parcels to 3 and modifies the sizes of those parcels that were adjusted last year. I'll give you a little history on this project in a moment. Conditional use permit 2105133, which will allow outdoor storage for building number 3. And lastly, the development agreement amendment number 2 to which is number 2105053, and these are the changes that were addressed in this amendment to the development agreement for this project. The developer's legal name, changes in the square footage of buildings, updated infrastructure reimbursement credits, and the applicant's request to extend the time frame of the DA by 2 years. So give you a little project history here. This project was approved originally in 2010 with 4 buildings and 3,166,609 square feet. And it was one of 3 parcels that were covered under a larger project. But this is simply site 3 of that larger project that we are dealing with today. A year ago, IDI came forward with a proposal to make modifications to this site. They were a new developer for the parcel, and they changed the number of buildings to 3, and they proposed 2 options. City Council ultimately approved the option that had a total of 2,358,347 square feet. And really shortly after they got that approval last year, a prospective tenant for building number 3 wanted to have some changes in what they were willing to purchase, and so they are coming back with a second modification that's modifying parcel layout and decreasing the size of the parcel and the building for building 3 and enlarging the parcels for buildings 1 and 2 for a total of 2,843,836. So the project site, again, location here may be helpful. This is Redlands Avenue coming down south from downtown, and this is Ellis Avenue. The 215 cuts through this map here, and the San Jacinto River cuts through this map here. So we have this sort of semi-triangular piece of property. And then the rail spur will come in here from the south and service this parcel in this general area. As you can see, it's zoned light industrial with light industrial uses to the south, a specific plan to the west, and also to the east on the other side of the freeway, and commercial to the north. The yellow line that you see right here is the permanent truck route, which will take trucks from this site over to Case Road, and then take Case Road down to its connection with the freeway via Highway 74 down here. And one of the things I just wanted to note is that at this intersection of Case and Ellis, well, first of all, there are many off-site improvements that the developer is being required to do, all the way down and including some improvements to the interchange as well, but all along Case Road. And so this intersection right here is going to require, at one point in time, a brief closure during construction. And so there will be a temporary truck route that's being recommended for approval. You'll see conditions of approval about it. Just during the closure of this intersection for trucks to access 4th Street. After that, they'll build a median, like a pork chop median here, where the trucks won't be able to turn right, and they'll have to use this southern truck route as proposed. This is a photo of looking across the site to the north from Ellis. This is looking to the south. This is a paintball facility. There's also a recycling facility and vacant land to the south. Easterly, we're just kind of looking across the freeway and toward the channel here. And then looking west across Redlands is where there's any development that's really close by. And it's some governmental buildings like the post office, the county coroner, and a trucking school. And lastly, this is the actual existing intersection of Ellis and Redlands today. Our site plan, some changes that did occur, as I mentioned, the change in this parcel size for parcel 3, it now has a piece of it carved out that is now part of parcel 2 over here, and this will be for truck trailer parking, additional truck trailer parking, so there won't be any people, employees crossing the truck routes here. Autos are separated from trucks. This is the auto access in purple, 2 on Redlands, 1 on Ellis, and all of the truck access, the red arrows on Ellis for the 3 separate parcels. You'll note that to access the employee parking for parcel 3, you take this route here across the north of the site to access the parking lot. There are over 19 acres of landscaping between these 3 parcels, with building 1 having 10.3%, building 2 having 15%, and building 3 having 10.2%. And the required landscaping down here in the southern part of the city, when you're not in the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan, is actually 10%. As you can see, all of our light industrial development standards are met or exceeded by this project, as our parking standards for the buildings are very much exceeded by for all of the buildings, more than double the amount of parking that's required on site for trucks as well as for cars. These are the elevations. So building 1 and building 2 have identical elevations like this that face Redlands, and that's one of the key things that was changed. The buildings were reoriented to not just have the walls of a truck bays along Redlands. This will sort of be the front door to the site, Redlands Avenue. And then this is building 3, because it's viewed from not only Ellis Avenue, but from the freeway. Both the Ellis Avenue elevation and the corners of all of the building that would be viewable from the freeway are also treated in a more detailed fashion. Our recommendation is to adopt resolution 21-13, recommending that the City Council determine that the proposals covered under the EIR, State Clearinghouse number 2008071060, the EIR addendum number 1, and that they adopt EIR addendum number 2, which is 2105054. Approve the major modification, 2005-166, the tentative parcel map 37998, conditional use permit 2105133, and adopt, this is a recommendation for council to adopt the ordinance that would approve the development agreement amendment number 2, and to reconfigure and adjust the parcel sizes of the 3 industrial buildings and modify the overall building square footage subject to the conditions of approval. Be happy to answer any questions.
Glad I'm not the only one that has to read that.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, it's something.
Commissioner Jimenez, do you have any questions for staff?
Thank you for the presentation. My question is, I noticed that to get to Building 3, I really appreciate that truck routes and automobile routes are now separate. Are there going to be any steps taken to prevent the employees of Building 3 from using that truck route on the bottom?
This connection here.
The one to the further right, you see how for Building 3, they usually will be using that one
This
further
is the
east?
trucks. There's a fence in between here.
Is there anything at that lower end where the entry is to prevent automobiles from coming in?
All of the automobiles come in here. There's no auto parking in this area. It's all trucks.
Right, but is there anything going to be there to prevent them from coming in and trying to get around? Are they going to have a staff?
There is a guard shack here for sure on this
Okay.
site. But there's no way to get from down here to the automobile parking.
Right, I see. I really appreciate that that was blocked off. So even if they try to get in that way, there's no real access. I just want to make sure that it was, preventative from earlier on before they got all the way up there and realized they can't get across.
Right. I think they need to prevent them because of the rail activities in the yard and other
Right.
things like that. So yes.
Okay,
There's-
perfect. Thank you. That was my only question.
There is, on Building 3, there is a path around the entire building for vehicle, emergency vehicle access, correct?
Yes, there's some crash gates here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner Hammond? Commissioner Gomez?
No, not at this time.
Thank you. Commissioner Hammond?
Thank you. I think you pretty much covered it. There's a lot to this one, obviously, with development agreement. They're proposing to amend that. One nitpicky thing, I think, and I was looking for it, I can't find it now. I think you were talking about 24-inch box trees and not 36 on streets. So why are we using 24 as a standard now and not 36? I know they can afford it. I think one of the things, I think, to answer the previous question, I'll give you time to answer that, is I think on the access for vehicles, if you see in purple, I think they were talking about an overhead trellis or something above to prevent trucks from getting in. But what you're talking about preventing vehicle access is the bottom. I think the only way is either have to have their own internal sign or something to say there's a guard check. I can't, but that, what's to stop them other than it would have to be whoever is going to do this. And you're right. The tendency is, but you can't get up to the vehicle parking. That's probably one of the best things. So they wouldn't have access according to this map. But I think there was something that would prevent trucks obviously from going in. Now the fire trucks obviously would have to go on the bottom and have to come in from the truck routes. I'm glad everything was pushed to Ellis, but looks like there's vehicle entry. Is that a vehicle entrance in purple on the bottom portion?
Yes, it is. Just to this, so this parking lot down here only goes here at cul-de-sacs here.
Oh, okay. So that's
So
is that overflow?
Yeah.
Is that overflow or just regular?
It's the automobile parking part of it for this building, which also has automobile parking right.
Right. But I mean, would that be considered the overflow parking?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. No, I think lastly, I think I saw that you were requiring. I told you I'm nitpicky. You're requiring 24 hours graffiti removal. Is that different from other ones that are 48, or we have a special thing for this project that is 24 hours?
This, some of those conditions of approval, although I'm guessing were simply not changed from 2010.
Yeah, you
So
probably-
when that was more the standard, and maybe Kenneth can speak to that better than I can.
Yeah, real quickly, the city standard is 48 hours. There's a little bit of timing that's needed to correct an
Yeah.
issue. So for some reason, they had 24 hours before, but
Yeah.
I think 48 hours is more realistic to
Yeah.
get graffiti removed.
Yeah, okay,
We could modify that.
okay.
What item is that?
Yeah, that's my fault, because I, graffiti, gosh, I normally have that. Which one of the conditions of approval? And I know I saw it, and for some reason I didn't put that one. There were so many other issues that was kind of the,
We could have them just adjust it.
yeah, yeah, wherever it is, we can adjust, unless you
I'll
see
make,
that number.
yeah, I will make sure that we
Okay.
find
Okay.
whichever one. I
Okay.
can search for it later if we can't
I
find
don't
it.
know why I missed that one. Anyway, thank you.
So, a question that I have is that at any time in the past, has there been a discussion of perhaps taking the truck routes eastbound on Ellis Avenue and creating a new street towards 74 and getting on the on-ramp on the 74? Instead of
Taking-
going westbound down South DeCase Road and around?
Yeah,
I'm
there's-
making, taking Ellis Avenue eastbound
That direction?
over the freeway?
No,
To the freeway,
to the freeway and making that connection at the 74.
because the paintball is there, that's Ellis, right?
Well, and that's where there are, these lands that you see in green and even further over, as well as some of the ones to the south are
Farmlands.
habitat conservation areas that have to remain. And we can't really put traffic down through there. I'm not certain I understand, and maybe John is in the room and can better understand where you're asking about, but
My question was if it was ever discussed prior in the history of this. It's been 12 years since it probably started, but yeah, if you go
Yeah.
westbound on Ellis,
Yeah.
over the San Jacinto River and make that
and
connection
then,
at the 74.
oh, and then on the freeway here,
Yeah.
Yeah, to the, yeah.
Chairman Shively, in order to do that, there would have to be a bridge crossing, of
New
course, and
bridge.
there's sensitive areas
Yeah.
to
habitat and.
habitat.
I just question if it was ever discussed. Instead of having to recreate the Case intersection and Ellis intersection, which is pretty major change in the intersection. I just perhaps think might be better to go the other way, but it's already been planned this way, so. That's the only questions I have for staff. Any further questions for staff?
I have one more. Kathy, can you go to the elevations for building 3, please? The one where you mentioned would be visible from the street.
So this is the south elevation on Ellis. And then this is the east elevation, which would face the east and north elevations, I guess, would face the freeway. This is an internal elevation.
For building 3, did you talk about adding a little bit more accents just because it's visible from the street? And we have beautiful corners, and one of them has like a quarter of it where it's a little bit nicer architecturally for the north elevation. And then there's this big section in the middle where it just looks like a big white blob.
The north elevation is what you're
Yes.
asking about?
Can we have something where we add a little bit of architecture so it kind of mimics the south elevation a little bit more because it's visible from the street, from the freeway?
We can work with the applicant on that.
Yeah, I think I would like that. Just because it's visible, I want to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward when people are driving by. We already have to see warehouses. Might as well make them pretty ones.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does the applicant wish to make a presentation at this time?
Good evening, members of the Commission. Lou Monville, representing IDI. Nice to see you all. Let me congratulate Commissioner Jimenez on her reappointment, and congratulate Commissioner Lopez and Commissioner Gomez on your appointments. We look forward to working with you. There's a lot I recognize to cover this evening, much of which many of your colleagues have covered before. We had some fairly extensive discussions a year ago. I know Commissioner Jimenez and others were excited about the fact that we could bring a rail-served building to Paris and take a lot of truck traffic and related issues off, and we're glad to be back before you tonight to make that possible. We've got our full team available online, as well as our engineer who is here present, as there is a lot of infrastructure which will really open up access to the freeways and relieve some existing traffic in South Paris, which is certainly a good news story as well. You know, our goal is always to have the finest buildings, as you know, and we continue to raise our standards as you raise yours, and we look forward to continuing to do that with you. New access to Case to the freeway in particular is going to be just a really great for the south end of Paris, and will relieve truck traffic out of the areas there to the north. We appreciate your ongoing support. Again, our whole team is here. What I'd like to do now is introduce our Vice President of Construction, Steve Hollis. We're happy to answer any of your questions directly, and again, look forward to working with you. So I'll give the floor to Steve.
Hi, my name's Steve Hollis. I'm with IDI Development, and we've been working on this project for quite a while now, and I know two past developers have been working on this for a total of how many years?
21, 22?
12, 13?
Yeah, 12.
But anyhow, hopefully the third time's the charm. We spent a lot of time with staff in trying to develop, and Planning Commission. We've been through this before, and I think we addressed a lot of your concerns and even improved them since the last time we were here a year ago. This modification is driven by our anchor tenant. This is our third building we're building for this tenant in the city of Paris. They're probably the largest employer in Paris. They're excited to be here. They're excited to get started. I think we warmed up the elevations color-wise. And I think we're going to even do better on our other Ryder project. In fact, I just met with John Kelly in the hall, and we'll set up a meeting between our architects and come up with some nice palettes, so really improve that experience going down Ryder Street. I'm sorry, I went to another project there for a second. But anyways, on top of this project, we're also dedicating 34 acres of open space. So that's not included in the 15 acres of landscaping, and a 20-acre landscape basin, water quality basin, where we treat all the storm water before it's discharged into the San Jacinto River. So there's additional open space and green space that'll always be there on top of just the landscaping. I think we spent a lot of time with city staff to make sure that, you know, the temporary truck routes and the permanent truck routes will be, separating the trucks from the autos, bringing in all the autos from the north, and that's where they're going to go to lunch and go into the city center, and sending all the trucks to the south, away from the city center. So if you have any questions or comments, you mentioned larger trees. Happy to put in 36-inch trees. And more of them.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Hollis. Is there questions for the applicant?
Well, I was going to ask about the landscaping, but I think he saw it coming, and I really like that extra dedicated space. I think that will be a huge advantage, just to still have some natural space out in the middle of the area. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lopez?
No questions.
Commissioner Gomez?
No questions.
Hammond?
Yeah, I agree. I think you pretty much solved most of that issue. I think this is, according to what they've written here, is brought on basically by the rail spur having to take up that space. So you had to make some, decisions and modifications based on that. And so that affects the development agreement, affects the other things. So all the other things, which is, I know it's going to cost, but all the other things along Case Road, what he was talking about with Ellis was just an idea. I think because if Ellis goes past the paintball, then you have Metrolink, that's farther down. So I don't know that consideration.
There
you know,
is a plan, and Stuart, I think, or John can talk about it, is extending sometime in the future Ellis. It'll turn north at the end of where our cul-de-sac is and stay out of the habitat area and potentially cross over the freeway there. So there is a long-term plan for Ellis if needed, and that circulation element's required, but he can address that more thoroughly.
Okay. I'm good. I think also that she'd already mentioned that anytime there's these long scapes of building, I think Paris, I don't know about the other cities, I don't care, but we see these long expanses of buildings, we tend to want to break that up. It's done by most developers, but we just kind of emphasize it for the record more than anything else, and just that there's a breakup, so it's not that monotony of just a plain blank wall, which makes no sense. Nobody wants to see that. When it's very relatively easy to do paint and other things here, our resident architect here knows, can design things where, you know, it can make a visual impact as opposed to just a blank building. So we tend to pick on that quite a bit along with landscaping. So you pretty much, you know, almost assure that those are going to be.
I think one of the problems with these elevations is they don't show the screen walls and the landscaping and the mounding.
Yeah.
It just shows the building.
Yeah.
So in front of this building, there's going to be a 14-foot high screen wall, but 8 feet of that screen wall is covered with landscape and mounding and undulations and trees.
Yeah.
So to soften the whole look of the building behind. And in the future, we'll give you more renderings in 3D so you can see what that actually looks like from a street view. It's not fair to show you these and try to interpolate that information. We can go back to the one rendering, but it really doesn't show the screen wall.
No, we didn't have any with the screen walls.
Yeah, you know, we'll provide that in the future.
Mr. Hollis, quick question for you. Does each of the three tenants have a requirement for a specific number of parking spaces?
Each tenant has their own parking, and it's all segregated. They can't share with each other. Each tenant has a guard shack at the truck entrance. Each auto entrance does have the monument to drive through to keep trucks from going through. It'll be set at just the elevation so a fire truck can get through, but it won't be high enough for an over-the-road truck to get through. And I think those monuments, we should have a rendering of those too, because they're going to be beautiful statements along Redlands, which is, you know, the new entry to the south of Paris. And we rotated these buildings 90 degrees, so all the pretty side of the buildings, office elevations, and most of the landscaping now face Redlands Avenue as part of that entry experience coming to the South Redlands.
Okay. But is there does each tenant, are they requesting a specific number of parking spaces?
One tenant is. The one tenant is, and we met their parking obligation, and actually was that high. On the other two buildings, we're almost twice the required code amount. So we don't have the tenant identified yet to share with you, but we are talking to a couple national tenants that I think would be a good fit for the project.
So is that that tenant that you met with, is that number of parking exactly what they want?
It exceeds the amount they need.
Do you know by how much?
Not much. They actually wanted to come back. They wanted to come back and get a variance to reduce their parking. We said, we own the building, you're a tenant, and we're not going to allow that. You have to have at least the code minimum.
Okay. Yes, it definitely needs to be at least a code minimum, but I'm thinking that each parking stall is about 160 square feet, and if you do back-to-back on both sides with the parking aisle, each space is about 250 square feet, including the drive aisle. Would it be possible to reduce some of the parking and increase some of the landscaping for Commissioner Jimenez?
Boy, I would prefer to do some creative alternatives. In the auto parking, we do these diamond fingers, and we don't lose any parking stalls, and we add trees. And I think we can create the same effect by adding those and adding a whole bunch more trees along the perimeter, utilizing those diamond,
The diamond cut out, and that's the side,
Yes,
that's
yes.
the drive aisles, yeah. Okay.
I'm okay with that.
I don't have any further questions for the applicant. All right, thank you, Mr. Hollis.
thank you.
If there's any member of public or online wish to speak on this matter?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and close the public hearing at this time and bring it to the commissioners for discussion. Commissioner Lopez, you have any comments on this item?
No comments.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Jimenez?
No comments at this time. Surprisingly, they answered all my questions up front. They knew what I was going to come back with, and they they beat me to the punch.
Commissioner Gomez?
Yes, I'm learning a lot today, and I'm very thankful that you bringing up points that sometimes we don't think about. And Mr. Hollis, you really understand what we're looking for, and I really appreciate that, because we're here because we want to see our city beautiful, right? We want to see it grow in the right direction. So thank you for understanding what we're looking for, and even creating those modifications, you know, just the diamond. Can it be a Tiffany? Yeah, that'd be great. But I'd really appreciate that, and yes, let this show that this is what we're looking for. And thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hammond?
Yes, and in agreeing with what's already been said, I appreciate this developer who anticipates, I guess after, 12 years I've been with you guys. So we're like a marriage. I probably know you guys as well as you know yourselves, but so you should definitely know where I'm coming from after 12 years. But I think the idea is that they always anticipate, and they're openness to do it. And you have to drag it out of some, but with them it's already been, especially with the staff who knows where we're coming from already. You shouldn't even have to question that. But working with staff, I know it's a very good staff. It's an excellent staff. And we come up with some doozies on the side every now and then just to keep things alive, But we do appreciate, and I do appreciate the fact that we're looking for better aesthetic beauty. We're looking for things that, landscaping, which we say will cost us, yeah, but in the long term, we live here. So we have to look at this. So if we have to look at it, we want something to be nice. This isn't 1991. This is in 1990s where you just accept anything. That's not going to happen in 2021. So we've raised the bar. I've been part of the bar raising for 19 years. We've raised the bar way from where I started. Okay, so because we have people that are raising the bar, we expect when we have projects, we're raising the bar. Not to be ridiculous, of course. We don't want gold-plated buildings. Okay, well, and Mercedes waiting for each one of us. No, we don't need that. But the idea is that by raising the bar, we raise the standards, we raise the image of the city. So we when we send it to our council people, we want to know we've done the best we could in whatever aspect and the best we could develop for our city. And then we don't always have to be perfect, but we're not expecting perfect. We just expect something that's really nice and aesthetically beautiful, even if it's a, quote, warehouse or fulfillment center, whatever they call it these days. They don't have to be the old blank stare look, but something that's nice. And I appreciate the developer wanting to work with us. And I'm sure staff will work with them in terms of whatever color palette. I don't know if this was blue, right? This one was blue.
Pretty.
Yeah, this was pretty. A little stone and other veneers. What a difference veneers and things like that makes, where in the past you just had the old standard 70s block. But now you have different design standards. Our resident architect knows this perfectly, that you can do things now that look more aesthetically pleasing. So we appreciate that. Okay. But that's it. I appreciate it. I don't have any more issues, but thank you.
I do appreciate the fact that they did take it back to the drawing board and revamp the exterior elevation. It's much improved from even what they had before, and I like the fact that Mr. Hollis probably took it back to Steve with the architect and told him to reface this for us. Appreciate that very much. On such a short notice, I'm sure it probably changed from 2 weeks ago. So thank you for that. The fact that he's definitely willing to work with us creatively to increase some of the landscaping, even the finger diamond here, every other parking spot, whatever, it definitely increases the amount of trees for us. The greater amount of landscaping increase would be the reduction of parking spaces, but at some times the applicant needs those parking spaces, as requested from the tenant himself, as, they know how many spaces they're probably going to be needing. There is no additional items. I appreciate the fact that, the things they've done for this project, coming back a third time, and hopefully it's the last time, or hopefully it's the final time. So you guys can start your construction and get it going. So sure the tenant wants to be in there, and you guys want to get your construction over. So I have no further comments. If you guys have any further comments, no?
No.
If we can have a motion to add the item, change the item to 48 hours for the graffiti, try to increase and work with the tenant to work with the staff to revise the, I believe it's the north side facing the freeway, and then try to increase the amount of trees and landscaping by use of diamonds in the parking lots. Any further?
36, I think they agreed to 36 inch as opposed to 20.
Yes.
Yeah.
36 inch
Yeah.
trees. So
Big-
if
big
we have
difference.
a motion for that approval, got to go back.
And 3 for 3.
Do I have to read that statement again?
Yeah.
Do I need to read that statement again?
I think staff is good. It's a motion with those, I think it's 4
4 items.
changes, 4 items, yes. Motion to approve with 4 items. Or, I'm sorry, motion to recommend council to approve with the 4 items.
Okay, we have a motion from Vice Chairman and a second from Commissioner Jimenez.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Commissioner Gomez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez,
No.
Vice Chair Hammond,
Yes.
Chair Shively.
Yes.
With a vote of 4 yes and 1 no, this motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. If we can move to item 7E, Development Plan Review DPR 19-00016, a proposal to construct a 324,147 square foot speculative industrial building on approximately 16.25 acres within the light industrial zone of the Paris Valley Commerce Center Pacific Plan. The requested action is adoption resolution 21-12, adopting mitigated negative declaration 2558 and approving development plan review 19-00016 to allow construction of a 324,147 square foot industrial warehouse building on approximately 16.25 acres of land located on the southeast corner of Ryder Street and Raylands Avenue based on the findings and conditions of approval. Do we have any ex parte communications?
The usual. Ooh, looking at Google here. Why do I have Google on mine?
You can type that in.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, just drove by the site, sat by the site, so reviewed it. I must have touched something here.
Commissioner Jimenez?
Just drove by the site
Oh, I
too.
have Google on here.
Commissioner Lopez?
No, nothing.
Thank you. Commissioner Jimenez? Gomez?
Yes, I passed by the site.
Thank you.
chicken recipe?
He's got the Google. Can you change that? Well, you got Google. You might have to share it with Commissioner Gomez.
Okay.
If we can go ahead and open the public hearing for this item and have a presentation, please.
Oh, I have chicken too.
Oh, we are, commissioners are losing the item on the agenda on the, he's got Google on
Yeah,
us.
we have a Google page popping up.
Yeah, I got it too.
Take a screenshot.
IT never received that second PowerPoint.
Okay, we're good now. Thank you.
Yeah, I got,
They're still
They
loading.
elbowed it or something.
we can't see the presentation.
we're having
Sure.
some technical difficulties.
If we can have a 5-minute recess to fix this technical issue.
Yeah, it's saved on the S drive.
Let's go talk.
Sure. Okay. outside.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now brighter.
Well, I don't know what it is that we wanted to say.
Got it. Okay, got it. Well, that's just a point. Like, you want an arrow's point of entrances. Okay. So it's not necessarily showing the truck route will be interesting. Main entrance to Ryder and out to Redlands. Right. Redlands. Correct.
That's why. Sorry.
Yeah. He wants entrance on Ryder.
There's homes.
Not only do they want to,
He says because there is now, there is another.
But we have another industrial.
Yeah, but I
they want to annex that. Another one.
yeah, exists. Yeah. Correct. That route.
So the reverse of that.
Yes. Yeah. Because, but they wanted a, I think at that point, and I was initially telling him no. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll talk to you more.
Yeah, I kept those guys at bay saying that, you know, you guys had to work things out with Stewart.
Yeah.
So they're happy that at least I responded in that sense.
But for sure,
But maybe what Ken just said, maybe entering Redlands and exiting Ryder. So as long as I think they get that, I think this should be okay. It's too much of a project, it's such a small parcel. Yeah. Trying to maximize too much. You have to go back.
Is it? Yeah, you said that. Well, that stuff's all this one. Of a, like a conglomerate. But there's not that many. It's up. It's up now.
Perfect. Okay.
Yes, beautiful. This is not it.
It sounds crazy.
alarm will go off and they can go out there.
Thank you. If we can reconvene for the Planning Commission and can resume on item 7E. We're ready for the presentation.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and my apologies for that technical difficulty, but seems like it should work now. There we go. So the project site is located also within the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan. It's actually adjacent and to the east of the just approved Core 5 project. So it's also surrounded by other light industrial land uses. And it's located within the southeast corner of Ryder and Redlands. This image is a street view of the Redlands looking eastward. This image is a street view of Ryder Street looking south. This image is an interior view looking west, and as you can see, there's an existing industrial building towards the far east of this image, west of this image, my apologies. And this is an interior view looking north of the project site. As mentioned, this project is 324,147 square feet on 16 acres. The project site is very similar as the Core 5, but this one is mainly oriented lengthwise adjacent to the Redlands Avenue access area. The northern access, there are 2 points of access, my apologies, on Redlands. The northern access is strictly for employee vehicles only. And the southern axis is a shared truck and employee vehicles. Mainly this axis, if anything, would be accessed by the employee vehicles, but that would only be as complete overflow because the subject site is overparked. And the northern site is only access for trucks to go straight into the truck bay. The project site also provides a half-court basketball and shaded seating amenities as well for the employees. As mentioned, the subject site is overparked at 192 parking stalls and provides 12.6% of landscape. That exceeds the requirement. With respect to the industrial development standards, it meets and exceeds and complies with the requirements of the PVCC standards. And again, as mentioned before, there was a slight modification. The parking standards were reflected differently in the staff report, but here you are before you is the 87 spaces that are only required, but as you could see, the subject site is overparked. Here is a 3D rendering. As you could see, the my apologies. There's a delay again. There we are. As you can see, the proposed architecture is modern. The building, again, uses a combination of roof lines and vertical columns with recessed panels and windows, and the use of the brick material. I believe that there should be a materials board being circulated. Thank you, Mr. Griffiths. The brick veneer is provided at the office entrances, again, to provide symmetry to the project site. And the color palette ranges from different shades of gray to complement the brick veneer and provide visual interest for the building. And here are some 2D elevations of Ryder Street and Redlands Avenue. And these are elevations of the interior and the south elevation that people would see along Ryder as they would be going northbound. With respect to CEQA, the project site did provide a mitigated neg deck number 2358. During the public circulation period of 30 days, staff did receive 3 comment letters from the public, one of them being from Adam Salcido, Stacy Orborn from Drudry LLP, and again from the Golden State Environmental Justice Alliance. The responses to the comments were prepared and included into the final MND as well. Staff's recommendation this evening is for the Planning Commission to adopt PC Resolution 21-12 based on the findings and attached exhibits, recommending that the Commission adopt MND 2358 and approve DPR 19-00016 based on the conditions of approval. And again, as the previous project, there was a modification that was requested by the engineering department to amend condition number 25 based on similar modification from the other project, was to reread the median to be at 10 feet and not 12 feet wide. And the asphalt paving to the north shall be 14 feet and not 10 feet. And that concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions that the commission may have. We have the applicant, Ms. Nicole Tortsvit, and Mike Gill on Zoom in case the commissioner needs more clarification. Thank you.
Just want to just add one note. There was a condition to relocate the basketball court because they had to cross through the truck route. So I just want to put a note that there's a condition to relocate that amenity and provide another amenity on the overflow parking area.
You're,
You know which one that was? Was it?
you're requesting to add that condition or revise that condition?
We had that condition in there. It just that Alfredo just didn't note that in the presentation. I just want to make that for the record.
You know what number that was? Or?
Let me just look for it, Alfredo. If you can recall, I will look.
Oh, employee amenities. Well,
Commissioner Jimenez, you have any questions for staff?
If you look at the site plan, and it's the basketball court is in that lower right-hand corner. And so you'd have to cross the truck traffic portion of it. And that is something that I know that the commission has been concerned about. And so we will be looking for a space to relocate it so that you won't have to go through the truck traffic to take advantage of to use the facility.
Yeah, and it's in planning condition number 36. That condition is there to relocate and replace it with another amenity that's more appropriate in the overflow parking area.
Commissioner Jimenez, you have any questions for staff?
I did. I wanted to ask if there was any possibility of rerouting the truck traffic on Ryder. I know Commissioner Vice Chair Hammond just happened to be driving by today when he experienced something that I brought up during the last meeting, where when trucks are turning in and out from on Ryder Street, everybody has to stop. Like, it really impacts the traffic flow. And I understand, the southern point is going to be overflow for automobiles, but I would feel more comfortable making the Ryder Street somehow also an automobile access, and just using that southern portion for trucks on Redlands, since that's already going to be where they exit towards Hartley Knox.
Yeah, the way right now the traffic analysis has been done is the trucks would enter Ryder Street on a right-in only and exit on Redlands Avenue as a right-out going northbound. So it'd be a circle.
No, I understand, but Ryder Street, if you're heading, would that be eastbound? If you're behind a truck, it's, a big rig making a right-hand turn takes a really, really long time. If that's our only access point in, you're going to have possibly 3 or 4 of them at a time, slowing up the traffic on Ryder Street. And also, if it's a 2-lane, even if you were to pass it on the left, I don't think that's safe. I know that we just had an incident where somebody was fatally struck by a vehicle on Redlands and Ryder last week sometime. So I'm just trying to make sure that we keep it as safe as possible. And I think with Ryder Street, if I'm behind a truck and I want to just go to the left and go around them, you can't see if someone's there around a big rig. So I know the traffic study was done, and coming in on Ryder and out on Redlands, which makes a lot of sense. But that entrance on Ryder would really, really impact. I think that's why I didn't have an issue with the one before, because it was on Wilson and not on Ryder.
Chair Shively, if I may respond to Commissioner Jimenez. We tried to have actually a smoother transition and truck circulation, on-site circulation. That's why we wanted the trucks to enter on Ryder Street and exit. So entering one way and exit the other. Now, to address your concern, what we could condition the project is to have a designated right turn lane. That way the trucks can actually get off the travel lanes and then enter the site from Ryder. So we can add that condition to satisfy your concern.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. That would make a big difference, or not impacting traffic as much. Thank you. I think that was my only question for now. I
Colors
like
look good.
that the moving of the basketball court, so there's going to be less of a safety hazard there. And then the landscaping is only 12.6%, and I see there's a lot of areas with potential. Is there a reason why they kept it at 12.6%?
That's what the applicant
applicant?
proposed,
Okay.
and since it exceeded the standard, we accommodated for that.
Perfect. Oh, and I had one more question. I know that the our conditions state that when it's over 100,000 square feet, we need 1 indoor and 2 outdoor amenities for staff. Have we seen another city where they might have where it's 100,000 and then an extra 100,000 you have to add? Or is it if I have a 1 million square foot building, I still need to have just those in our city?
I'm not aware of.
On some amenities, they are graduated by the size of the building. So you would match it to the size of the building, and we can do some research on that and get back to you on that for the future.
Please,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
That was it for me. Thank you.
Commissioner Lopez?
No questions.
Commissioner Gomez?
Oh, yes. Okay. I was told I need to speak a little better here. I noticed that there was air quality research done. Can you tell me a little bit about what you found and if it's below? I did see the graphs, and I apologize, I didn't bring them with me, but can you please explain to me what your findings were on the air quality for the diesel traffic?
Yeah, is Mr. Brown?
Yeah, we can defer to the applicant's environmental consultant, and our environmental consultant can clarify further if we feel that's needed.
Okay.
We
Okay.
can wait until
Then I'll wait.
the applicant when they respond.
Okay.
Any further question, Commissioner Gomez?
No further questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Hammond?
Yeah, thank you. And I tend to go to the map. Now, if you look at Redlands Avenue, and I don't know if you can see it on there, but where you're showing the truck entry on the southern end, southwest end, it also shows here that there would be auto full access and trucks right out only. So I don't think the map is, unless I'm missing something on the map itself. North of that, it says driveway access, autos only right in. So I'm talking this map. Now, obviously, you're moving the basketball court, but it does say full access and trucks right out. So I'm assuming trucks in and then trucks right out only going north. So is that going to be truck only, or are we talking auto and truck at the southern end? Auto emergency.
The southern area will only be accessed by employee vehicles strictly only for overflow. But it's mainly designated for the trucks to go outwards through there.
Okay.
But in essence, a domestic vehicle could exit through there.
Okay, so see, the thing, I was just clarifying because I always try to match what's in the COA with this, so I'm always going to do that. So when you have autos full access, I think we need to change this from full access to emergency or overflow access, because if the map says full access, it means full access. And then north of there, autos right in. Okay. Then, when you talk about, I think, I'm looking at Ryder Street, it says auto full access to the north, and then trucks right in only. So we have the same situation again. So I'm going by what's on the map. So if we're saying autos access, we're either going to have to say autos are accessed by emergency only, or it's only an overflow. But if we're saying full access, then you're going to have autos going in there and trucks going in there along Ryder. So you can see where the kind of gets a little jumbled. This matching what's in the condition of approval, which we sign off on. So I'm just, which is going to have to make some mitigation to which one we're going to be looking at. So if either going to be autos that overflow, obviously you have autos coming in off of Redlands. It's full autos from the Redlands northern end on the where they see the red arrow.
Correct.
North, you have autos in full access on the map, and then right out trucks. Now, the second question I have is, and I should have asked this before, is there a median on Ryder Street? In other words, we're going to have a 12-foot median on Ryder Street. So that means no one's going to be turning left on Ryder. Is there a median, or did I miss something?
Commissioner Hammond, we'll have to comply what's stated in the conditions. So the access on Ryder is for trucks only. I don't know what it says on that site
It
plan.
has full access, yeah. Just to make sure it matches. So it has full access auto, so we need to...
Correct.
Yeah.
And there would be a raised landscape median, 10 foot wide on Ryder Street.
Okay, so no matter what would be going out of there, would have to go to the right, which is
Correct.
good, because you can't make unlike the other building across Redlands where you can go across. Now, north of there is a median, so this is being consistent in the area. If you're going to turn right out of Ryder, then you're going to be going right, even as the vehicle access. I mean, a truck access is coming in, so the right turn in, that's not a problem. But if you're going to have vehicles would be going out of that access. They'd have to go right as well. So we're going to make the northern access only truck access and take away this automobile
Correct.
access
Yep.
from the map. Okay. Just trying to make them jive, guys.
Yeah.
We call
and,
it that.
and as mentioned, we'll have a decel lane.
Right.
turn
Okay.
lane.
The same thing with the southern. We can't say auto access,
Correct.
full
This-
access. So we have to take away the auto access and just say it's truck. Now, emergency, would that be emergency auto access at all?
Emergency vehicles can access all.
Well, even auto access, would that be like emergency for, they wouldn't need to go in there because there would probably be a gate there or something?
Only as a secondary point of access. Otherwise, the main auto access is the northerly
Northern road.
driveway on Redlands.
Okay, just want to get, so you can see, if we're going to say the COAs are the taking preeminence over it, then we won't worry about, the map probably needs to direct it, because that's submitted too. The map's going to have to reflect that it's auto only. I mean, truck only. And that, obviously, that means, obviously, you have your fire department regulations, the fire trucks can go in there and enter anywhere. But if we're going to say auto access, they're going, as you can see from the map, it's going north and it's going south. So they can exit the southern, but we don't want them to. We want them all to go in and out on Redlands if you're an automobile.
Correct.
Okay. So you can see, but just need to make some potentially some slight corrections to that. The median, which I wasn't sure about, there's a 10 or 12 inch median that goes along Ryder, but that only stops at Redlands. There's no median going from Redlands to Paris Boulevard. Not currently, because I saw a truck going out there today. So really, the median goes all the way up north. It's not going to be Redlands South.
The medians will be on Ryder Street.
Right.
Both
They're going
east
east.
and west of Ryder.
Right.
On
right.
both sides, actually, on both sides of Redlands Avenue.
Right, okay. So the median on Redlands going south and the median on Ryder going east.
Correct.
Okay, so that means the trucks would be coming in, make a left turn in
On
to the
Redlands?
southern, yeah.
No, the trucks will be only exiting off the southerly driveway on Redlands.
Oh, okay.
So we have a control at the intersection of Ryder and Redlands. So that way we have a circular motion. So they come in one way, exit one way.
Okay, so they'll be coming coming to south, turning left, going down Ryder, coming into and then they have to exit on Redlands going north.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, I need to change that arrow then.
Yeah,
Okay.
those arrows, I
Yeah.
think, the only point, the
Yeah,
location
the arrows are
of
only for graphical purposes to represent the access points, but maybe next time we'll just reorient it.
Yeah. For troublemaking commissioners like me who are going to ask.
No, polishes things.
No, that's
no
okay.
problem.
That's okay. Circulation is my first question. The other stuff, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's number one. Because you're going to get run over with a truck and you're not going to get run over with a basketball. So I'm a little more concerned about that, especially since we have truck routes that are designated until, actually, was mentioning Placentia, which could be a year and a half away. We're not going to be concerned about that at this point. Then we can route them south, but right now they have to go up north.
Right now, they can only go north
Right.
towards Harley Knox. Once the Placentia interchange is in, they can use that, but they will be a truck route,
Right.
not impacting any residential areas.
Okay. I hate that. I know I'm not supposed to, but is Placentia ultimately going to be, when it's changed, a truck route as well? Because if you're going to route them that direction, would that be? It's just
No, if you look at the PVC specific plan,
Yeah.
it's not a truck route, Placentia west on the east side of Paris Boulevard. So regardless if Placentia comes
still
in
gonna
right
be
now,
regular.
they would need to go up north.
Right.
Unless we redesignate it for one reason or another. But I don't, because this residential area along Placentia on the east side of Paris Boulevard, I can't envision us opening that up for a truck route unless the ultimate
Yeah.
Mid-County Parkway comes through and there's
Yeah.
actually a freeway.
Yeah.
It becomes actually a freeway. Right now, the interim design is actually just a bigger street, so I can't envision us changing that.
Yeah. We may be long gone before we ever see Mid-County. Yeah. Okay. Just clarifying, because obviously we're routing things north to Harley Knox, regardless, whether it's Indian, whether it's not
Redlands.
Webster, but Indian Avenue, not Paris Boulevard.
No.
In quotes. But Redlands going up north, also to Harley Knox. And the idea now is, that's why I was concerned about the median being there. They'd have to make a right turn out. So basically, they're circulating through and going back up north. Now, inside where you see the blue arrow, there's going to be some notation that they can only make right turns, so a sign or something posted that they can only make. They should know that.
Well, there's a median.
Yeah.
There will be a median on Redlands
So you
Avenue.
can't turn left into there.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. I know it's being regulatory, but I can't help it. Okay.
So just for-
Ideally, we're trying to negate all truck
Exactly.
left turn movements. Make sure
Exactly.
they go right in, right out,
Okay.
as
Okay.
much as possible.
Okay. Okay. I'm good.
I think I need a little bit clarifications along Ryder Street. Previous project, 7C, I believe there's a stoplight along Ryder Street. Is that at Ryder, and Redlands? Or is there another one along Ryder between the two properties of item 7C and 7E?
There will be there is currently a traffic signal at Redlands and Ryder, and there will be another traffic signal at Wilson and Ryder.
The other side of the property? Okay.
Correct.
Of item 7C.
And that would line up with the other Ryder project that we approved just
7C,
recently.
Yes. So the entrance along Ryder into this property is both trucks and vehicles?
No.
Trucks only? Okay, that's the clarification.
Only trucks.
However, vehicles along Ryder, both will be truck and pedestrian vehicles along Ryder to get to 7C. So the southern entrance along Redlands is a shared entrance
For overflow, yes.
for overflow. We're just changing it to truck only.
Just to iterate, Chairman Shiley,
Yes.
the driveway on Ryder Street is for trucks only and right in.
Right in.
Correct.
Right in,
Auto,
left.
auto access is only from Redlands Avenue. The
Yes.
northerly driveway on Redlands Avenue.
But along Ryder Street is right in, right out, only, or left out only.
On Ryder is right in only for trucks, no left
They're
out.
coming out south onto Redlands.
Correct.
Yeah, out only. Is there, according to the plans, there is no crash gates along both of those entrances, along Ryder Street, to the employee parking and along the south vehicle access along the south entrance. That's only supposed to be truck X only.
I'm sorry, I lost you. Can you?
There's no crash gates separating employee parking from truck entrances.
I believe that, yeah, that gold line there, above in the employee parking area, above the blue arrow, is a, separation gate, is that correct?
That's the path of travel for ADA.
That,
Yeah, I mean, there is no gate if I look at the larger
We only
drawing.
have gates at the northern and southern portion of the truck bays.
And I believe there's a gate at the northerly driveway on Redlands Avenue.
Oh.
And that's where the auto access is.
Yeah, there's no gate there, according to this plan. Not along Ryder Street
I
of
see
that
what you're
position.
Can
We need a
condition
crash
for a
gate
gate.
here so that cars won't want to exit
Or
where
entrance.
trucks are coming in. So we do need some kind of division. There's some kind of crash gate so that vehicles that park on the northern side are not tempted to exit
Overflow
along
there.
Ryder.
Shouldn't have that there.
So completely block that off for them, except for like a crash gate for emergencies, so that they don't exit when trucks are trying to make a right in. And they're forced to go back out and back around and use Redlands.
Yes.
And same thing for that bottom section. I would like that. I understand that's overflow, so we can't block that off. But if we have a barrier, another crash gate, so that they don't exit along with the trucks, unless they're, I mean, that's very limited parking. I can't count how many stalls there are, but there's not a lot.
No.
But if we have a gate separating the northern parking from the truck flow, I think that would help make sure that they use Redlands Avenue.
Sure.
We're trying to say.
That's what I was trying to get to, that there is no,
Yes.
the free flow of traffic, you can go around
Yes.
the whole parking spot.
Okay,
Other
s-
than access to there. So that was my question. I think it was clarified.
Yes.
Okay, so we have, after discussion, we'll get direction for you on how to work with staff to clarify these, to create barriers between the truck and the auto, ensure truck and autos, excuse me, not create barriers, but to ensure truck and auto separation, okay? All right.
Yeah, we would also want to just have that discussion with the applicant too, as we conclude the staff comments. So just want to make sure what the applicant's potential concerns are and what they can do to make this work. So I just want to mention that.
Right.
Any further questions for staff? Nope. Thank you, sir. Does the applicant wish to make a presentation at this time?
Hi, Chairman. Hi, Commissioners. I don't know if you guys can hear me right now. I just want to double check.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Can you go to
My
stage?
name is
Thank you.
my name is Mike Goodwin. I'm the applicant for First Rider. I represent First Industrial Realty Trust. This is our third development in the city of Paris. Same industrial type product. Pretty excited about this particular project. I want to thank Alfredo for helping out with this and working pretty hard to get through this to this meeting. I think we've all worked pretty hard to get to this point. So I just like to say a few things just about the project. I know this is kind of a similar project to a few of our other developments within the city. We've got kind of the same architectural articulation and design, including a lot of glass, a lot of architecture, brick veneer, a lot of concrete reveals that kind of break up the building and enhance the look. So the one thing that we did kind of add to this look to the building are the cornices at each corner of the building that look pretty nice. I know that was Kent's and Alfredo's comments, so that's a really nice add to the building look. This is as far as the use is concerned. I mean, we pretty much designed this, and we anticipate a single tenant. This is a speculative building, so we don't have a tenant at this time. Wanted to emphasize that this is a green building. We're going LEED certification for all of our projects in the city of Paris. So that's just one step of our Cal Green requirement in California. And then I believe Alfredo kind of touched up on all of the site enhancements, and we've got to have a discussion on the basketball court location. But that's all I have. I've got the design team here, the architect, RGA Mike Gill, and a couple of Webb and Associates here on as well for the comments.
Thank you. Commissioner, you got questions for staff? Commissioner Jimenez? Sorry? That was developer. That was applicant.
I did want to ask if there was a way that you would be open to making sure we really keep automobile traffic and truck traffic as separated as possible, with possibly the recommendations that we made, having crash gates or something parallel to Ryder, so that cars that are parked along the northern strip are not tempted to exit towards Ryder and make a right when we have trucks making a right in only. Same thing for the southerly exit. I really want to make sure that automobiles are, as much as possible, strictly only using Redlands. I know the southern row of automobile traffic is almost impossible. We can't really block that off completely, but because it's overflow, I'm not as worried about that as keeping the majority of the automobile traffic completely isolated from the truck traffic.
Yes, yeah, we can definitely look into that and a specific design, barrier design to keep the auto traffic out.
Okay, that was my only question for the, oh, I did also want to ask, the landscaping, like the building, really like the colors. There are some areas where, again, we could do some more landscaping, adding a little bit more greenery just to break it up. You know, when we visit and we drive through those areas every day, it's horrible to just see block where we were used to seeing nature, whether it was dried off grass, dirt. A lot of the times we used to have sheep in and out of the area sometimes, which I enjoyed seeing. So I would like to see a little bit more greenery just to kind of break up the industrialness of the area.
Sure, yeah, that's not a problem. We can definitely add more vegetation or trees if we need to.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Lopez.
No questions.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Just like Commissioner Jimenez already said, we would like to see more greenery. I really agree on that. And so I believe my question would be directed to you in regards to air quality. Is that correct? I was asked to ask the applicant. I noticed I actually went on the Exhibit F response to comments. And can you please tell me, I did see the graph and the table with the for the noise that's going to the potential noise, considering the residential area that this particular building is closer to. Do you believe that the noise that how can I put this? I want to put my thoughts together on this because I'm not sure if there is or isn't a way, but have you considered a way of being able to
mitigate?
Yes, mitigate the noise. That's part of the question, but I want to focus on the noise first. Mitigate the noise from the residents that are much closer to this specific building than the other buildings in the area. Have you considered?
Yeah. Yeah, I believe it is addressed in our air quality sound study. But I actually have with Webb and Associates, I have Eliza that's on the phone right now. She can probably answer that more in detail for you. Eliza, if you can pop on real quick and answer that question, please.
Yes, absolutely. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. My name is Eliza Laws. I'm with Webb Associates, applicant's CEQA consultant. I do know that for the noise analysis and for all of the air quality studies that were done, all of the results indicated that all of the impacts would be reduced to less than significant with implementation of all of the required mitigation measures from the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan EIR. Specifically with regard to noise, I assume we're probably talking about operational noise. The impacts were all below applicable city standards, and no further mitigation was required. Similarly, with all of the air quality studies that were done, Per city requirements, all of those analyses were conducted, and as disclosed in the MND, the results indicated that with implementation of applicable mitigation measures from the PBC CSP, that all impacts were below all thresholds.
Thank you. Were those analyses that were made, were they tailored to the fact that these buildings are closer to residential areas than the other buildings, or was it just a comparison to the other buildings in the area?
Yes, all of these studies were done project specific and looked at the immediately adjacent areas for what they call receptors, so sensitive uses. So they did absolutely include an analysis of the receptors closest to this project site.
Okay, because I'd like to consider the fact that these trucks can make a lot of noise and pollution's in my next question, but they do create a lot of noise, and depending on the hours of operation, that's the concern. So that I understand that it was according to city regulation. Would the city be the one to respond if this regulation is according to the area specific for light industrial, or is it also considering the residential area? I'm not sure who question would be directed to, but do you understand the concern here with the being closer to this residential area and this specific building?
Did perhaps the city's environmental consultant could address that question, if that would be helpful, in terms of how environmental impacts on air quality are analyzed in terms of sensitive uses and that kind of stuff. So,
thank you, Candida. Good evening, Planning Commissioners. My name is Michael Brown. I'm with Cadence Environmental Consultants, and I'm the city's environmental peer review consultant. And with regards to noise, the analysis in the MND here looked at the potential noise impacts for both construction and operational activities on the nearby sensitive uses, including the adjacent residential properties. Now, one thing to note about these adjacent residential properties is that they are considered to be non-conforming uses in that they currently have a light industrial zoning designation under the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan. However, they are still residential uses considered to be sensitive by the city until the point that they are no longer occupied. So we did not consider them to be an industrial use or a non-conforming use that should not be considered here. We did look at them as being a sensitive use. And so the document evaluated construction-related noise impacts to these uses and operational activities to those uses. And the impacts for both scenarios were determined to be less than significant. And part of that less than significance determination for the operational activities is due to the fact that there's going to be a perimeter wall there between this property and the adjacent residences. And once again, like I say, even though it's less than significant, the noise impact would only occur until those homes are gone. And actually, there's a current application for the residences to the immediate east of the site. So it's very possible that they won't even be occupied by the time that construction actually occurs on the site or by the time that it's operational. But that was not considered in the document. We considered what if they were to stay, and the impacts were determined to be less than significant. And I'm happy to answer any questions you also have with regards to air quality. If you'd just like to state that, then I'll go ahead and answer that for you.
Thank you for the answer. I do appreciate that. I could say a few things, but I'm just going to leave it as is because I believe the staff understands my position on this and they will work with you. Can you please, yes, elaborate on pollution quality, please? The air quality and pollution.
So the MND here evaluates the air quality impacts in comparison to the thresholds of significance that have been adopted by the South Coast Air Quality Management District and that are recommended for use by agencies throughout the South Coast Air Basin. And that includes the City of Paris. And that's what the City of Paris does by practice. In addition, those thresholds were used in the EIR for the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan. And so those thresholds have carried over the years to all of the subsequent development projects. So the initial study evaluated construction-related and operational regional daily air quality impacts. And it also evaluated construction-related and operational localized impacts. So we were looking at the emissions that would be generated just, in general by all the activity at the site and the vehicles traveling to and from the site for the regional emissions. And then we also looked at the localized emissions for the activities that occur at the site and the localized concentrations at the nearby sensitive uses, such as those adjacent residences. In addition, a health risk analysis was prepared for the project to evaluate the potential cancer risks associated with diesel particulates generated by vehicles, by the heavy trucks operating at the site. And in all of those scenarios there, the emissions generated by the project were below the thresholds of significance recommended by the South Coast AQMD, and therefore the impacts were determined to be less than significant. With regards to the operational activities, it should be noted that the analysis went way beyond the defaults that South Coast AQMD has programmed into the models for the evaluation of project impacts. And specifically, what we did is we modified the inputs for the model to consider a trip length for all of the heavy trucks that are traveling to and from the site of 40 miles. One way, each way is 40 miles as opposed to the default, which is 6 point something. I'm sorry, I just don't know enough without looking it up very quickly. But so we've gone way beyond the default there to use a longer trip rate that would, consider trucks traveling, longer distances, either bringing items in to the facility or taking them out. And this trip length is one that's recommended by the South Coast AQMD and has been utilized in their documentation for a new rule that they recently adopted that's going into effect for all warehouse facilities within the South Coast Air Basin. And this project will be subject to that new rule where they're going to have to put together plans for approval by the Air District for reducing emissions. Now, that implementation of that rule was not adopted at the time that this document was circulated, and it has not been taken into consideration for this project. So therefore, even in that case, the document is a further worst case analysis. Now, some people would argue that we should maybe use a longer trip length to accommodate all the trips, from the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach. But if we just did that, then it would not consider the trips, that are much shorter. Some of the trips from this facility may be as short as 3 miles or something. And that's what the South Coast AQMD considers when they recommend their 40-mile trip length. So what it comes down to is that we've used a conservative means of analysis for the project. And even doing that, the emissions are less than significant for both construction-related and operational emissions.
Okay, so you're, so the last part that you were mentioning, so this construction will be under that new quality guidelines?
You're talking about the new rule?
Yes, the new rule.
The new rule pertains to operational activities. It does not pertain to construction. There are already rules in place for construction emissions.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for the elaboration. I appreciate it. I have no other questions in regards to that.
Thank you. Michael, if I can ask you a quick question. Do those truck emissions take into effect through that 40-mile trip, idle time sitting in traffic?
It takes into account the idle time that occurs at the project site and at the ending location. So if a truck starts at this project site and ends somewhere else, or if it starts somewhere else and ends at the project site, it includes those. With regards to the emissions in between, it's based on an average vehicle speed emission rate.
I'm coming to a question real fast. So in this analysis, is there a requested time for truck deliveries and shipments coming to and from the site? The time of day deliveries? Should there be, is there analysis of they should be delivered before 7 in the morning or before 9 in the morning and after 6 in the afternoon or something like that?
There wasn't anything in the analysis that requested that. The only thing in the MND that pertained to something like that was scheduling construction deliveries to off-peak hours for that specific reason.
Okay. Thank you, Michael. Commissioner Hammond, you got questions? No questions? All right. I have no further questions for the applicant as well. Commissioner, have any questions? Does the applicant wish to further address the commission?
Not at this time. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
If I can open up public comment at this time, I have one member of public wishing to speak on this matter. It's Stephen Pipkion, if I said it better than this time, than last time.
Thank you again. Good evening. My name is Stephen Peepcorn. I'm with the Golden State Environmental Justice Alliance. We submitted a comment letter to the Mitigated Negative Declaration. Our letter identified several deficiencies with the MND, including but not limited to project piecemealing, project description, air quality, energy, greenhouse gas emissions, hazards and hazardous materials, land use and planning, population and housing, and transportation. Further, the MND does not accurately or adequately describe the project, meaning the whole of an action which has a potential for resulting in either a direct physical change in the environment or a reasonably foreseeable indirect physical change in the environment. The project proposed by First Industrial at Ryder is a piecemealed portion of a larger overall project to be developed within the First Industrial Logistics Center in the city of Paris. The First Industrial Wilson building located on Wilson Avenue and Ryder Street was approved by the Planning Commission on December 2nd, 2020, and is 303,228 square feet. CEQA's multiple and phased project section requires that where individual projects are or a phased project is to be undertaken, and where the total undertaking comprises a project with significant environmental effect, the lead agency shall prepare a single program EIR for the ultimate project as described in section 15168. The MMD misleads the public and decision makers by circumventing adequate and accurate environmental analysis for the whole of the action, construction and operation of all First Industrial Logistics Center buildings as a whole. A program EIR must be prepared which accurately represents the whole of the action without piecemealing the project into separate, smaller development projects to present unduly low environmental impacts. For the previously stated reasons and those listed in our comment letter, we believe that MMD must be revised and prepared and by preparing a program EIR and be recirculated for the public review. Thank you.
Yes, one second. Any other member of the public wish to speak on this matter? Yes, sir. If you could please state your name.
Good evening, Honorable Chair, Planning Commission. My name is Ralph Valador. I'm here speaking on behalf of LIUNA, Southern California District Council of Laborers, and our members here in Southern California. The developer before you, as the two developers before him, are dedicated to building to the highest standard and using the very best craftsmen in the industry. We are confident that the developer will deliver the very best project for our community, as we will be proud to build it. We have partnered with the developer because their core beliefs mirror ours. That being said, we fully support this project and hope it's passed here tonight. And thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thanks, sir. Is there any other member of the public wishing to speak on this matter, either here or on Zoom? Seeing or hearing none, I'll go ahead and close public hearing at this time and bring it to the council for discussions. Commissioner Jimenez?
I do appreciate that they're willing to add more landscaping and make sure that we keep that truck and automobile flow apart as possible. I must also feel like I need to validate what Mr. Stephen brought up, because I know I've brought that up before, where we study all these different developments individually, but we don't see the whole picture of the impact in our city and our community. So I think that is a very valid point. I'm hoping the state legislator and all kind of starts going in the direction where we can see things differently so that we have more of a leg to stand on. But until that happens, we are limited to the information that we must weigh when making a decision. Because, you know, working as a school teacher, I do see kids outside playing recess, and I'm not always confident that they're playing in the best air quality. We do see the water quality. I mean, I bring my own water to school because the water tastes disgusting, and these poor kids have to drink this water sometimes. So I do very much appreciate that, you know, there's someone who keeps bringing it up, and I really hope legislature and there's changes that come that can help families and communities and kids just grow up in a safer, more fortified environment. Until then, you know, it's very challenging to kind of weigh things when legally we can only look at certain things, and we have so many things that we have to consider when making a choice. But I really hope that things go in the right direction, where we look at the impact as a whole and not just as small little chunks, pieces. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Lopez?
No comment.
If it please the chair, I'd like to respond to that. This project is a part of the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan, and for that large area, a program EIR was prepared, which looked at the entire development of that whole area. So the large scale looked at it. In addition, this specific project, MND, also looked at not only this project, But other projects that were, for example, in the traffic analysis, upon which the air quality and noise analysis were based, it looked at not only this project, but other projects that were proposed in the area at this sort of real time that we're talking about. So there is information that is a bigger picture, and we did believe that, and do believe that, that the MND that was prepared for this project successfully looks at the broader impacts. But it is your decision, and that is staff's recommendation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Lopez, you have any? No. Commissioner Gomez?
Thank you so much for that. I believe what as the applicant, Mr. Goodwin, as you mentioned earlier, and everyone, there's several projects, as was mentioned, that are being brought into our city, and they are there is an impact. Whether we and the studies do show it, that there's just the levels of impact that are being at play here. But I hope that the builder considers that what our concerns are, and of course the staff clearly knows what our concerns are as well, and we'll continue to voice those as well, simply because it's our due diligence. We must. And we respect as well the feedback and the boundaries that are set and that are being followed as well by the city and other regulations. I bring a copy of, I brought a copy of the Paris Valley Commerce Center land use plan with me to remind me that some changes can be made, and some changes, because of the way our city is zoned and where it's placed, there are many, many issues to consider. And so I want the public to understand that as well, that we are here making these decisions according to the boundaries that we have, not necessarily that are put on us, but that we have because we choose to live here in the city of Paris, and we just want to make sure that those choices are the best choices for everyone who resides here and works here. So thank you so much for taking that into consideration. Greenery is key here, is best, and as you saw before with other applicants, that's what we want, and that makes us happy, and that's the way we want to go. So please continue to consider that, and that's the end of my comment.
Thank you. Commissioner Hammond?
Thank you for especially being so patient. I know we've this is long, but it's an important issue. And let me give you a real quick long-term perspective, because I've probably heard about 300 environmental impact reports, so I won't become an expert. There's some considerations you have to take into when you're speaking about these things. Number one, the word that they did not use was cumulative impact. And I'm surprised staff and you guys did not use that word. The word is cumulative. When you do the general plan, and I was here in the general plan, it talked about a lot of these things were addressed then. Of course, the public didn't know what the general plan was, but I sat through the general plan, and it's a major, major, very expensive document. And a lot of these things, the zoning, which the city council approved, the zoning and all these things were put into consideration. Taken to point, you have a March Airport space, which nobody mentions. When you have a March Airport space, I don't care what the public says, virtually. You have that requirement, you can't ignore it. It puts us in a rock and a hard place. Because on the one hand, you may not want these things, but then the March Air Force says, wait a minute, you're in that zone. So we're kind of caught. We take the heat, that's fine. But you can't put things other than industrial. That's why it was zoned that way, guys, when I was part of that zoning. That's why your council zoned it that way. You zone it because you have limitations on the number of employees. The building heights cannot be a certain level. You can't have major shopping centers, despite what people have said through the years, you can't do it, period. So let's rest that. So when people say we should do this, that, there is no alternative in many cases unless you want to have a Toyota dealership, because that's about the only thing you can do. Toyota car dealership, Ford dealership, yeah, you can put those in. You can put storage units along Paris, but that's fine. But you have those choices. or you're going to do industrial warehouses, and it's called e-commerce today. Amazon, who claims they want to have these electric trucks by 2045, I'm not going to be here. I don't think I'll be alive. I doubt it. Okay? But the idea is that unless you start moving to that sooner, you're faced with diesel trucks that are coming in. Now, to mitigate it, what's been done over the years is walls, separation, 14-foot walls. Those are sound mitigation measures that have been used for years. Some of the things, particularly along Ramon Expressway, where you say you want truck routes, trucks have been routed up north to avoid going into residential. Truck idling is another thing. I'm just letting this for the purposes of the new guys. Truck idling and sitting there and idling is one of those things that you see to consideration. You can't just sit there idling trucks. They try to get electrical equipment. Those are things that mitigate these measures. Those are things that can be done. It's hard when you have an Air Force base to the north, you have an air thing to the south, you have trains, you have all these things that are in the city, so you're kind of caught in a rock and hard place. You want to say, don't put that in, don't put any more. On the other hand, they have the legal right to put it in. Okay, so when we zone it light industrial and they come into light industrial, guess what you're going to have? Light industrial. Okay, so when you have general industrial, light industrial, in a place that's zoned for that, you're going to have to take into consideration what can you do with a March Air Force Base. They have A zone, B zone, C zone. So some have more strict requirements, some have less. If you're in that flight pattern, remember there was a plane that flew and crashed into a building. What if you had large buildings and a thing in Paris? So you could say, well, do a statement of overriding consideration. Sure, now the city takes on the burden. So if you, the city, wants to do it and gets sued for $15 billion, I'm glad the city of Paris has that money to pay out, because you're going to be sued. So I've said this to the council, and I'm saying this here too. This is one of those things where we're kind of put in a real bad situation because we know the trucks, we know the kids here. What do you do? So we try to mitigate that by having enough distance between residential, having some barriers. We've even had developers replace windows for some of those residents. Actually go in and say, we'll fix your windows, put double pane, triple pane windows just for the sound attenuation. So that's how far some have gone to try to do it. Does that negate the pollution problem? It's hard to say. They still have a pollution problem in LA where I work. And that's supposed to be a clean city. It's still pollution. It's probably one of the highest polluted cities there is in Los Angeles. They don't even have the truck traffic you have here. So what do? So it's a regional problem. It's not just a Paris problem because the trucks go Mira Loma. They go along Riverside, right? So this becomes a regional thing. This becomes a regional task force. So until we address that, and they're talking about a freeway coming in Paris on top of it. So, you're talking transportation issues and parking issues. How do you really mitigate that when it's on the freeways? And trucks sit on the freeways when you have truck traffic. So what I'm saying in general is that you got to look at the whole picture. You got to look at what's reasonable, and are those areas that are designated for those spots as light industrial or general industrial reasonable in terms of March Air Force Base proximity? If it's close to residential, what can you do to make separation from those residences in terms of sound? And I don't know what else you really can do. It's kind of just one of those things that have been rattling it for the last 15 years. What can you really do? So I think, it's one of those things you continue to work with, but I understand from the staff perspective. I understand because I work for government. I understand for that perspective too. But also the public living here. You don't want your kids breathing stuff. You don't want to ride bikes and have to ride by all this stuff all the time. So we have to do a kind of juggling act here. So I understand the developers. I understand the city staff. I understand from our standpoint. This is always going to be an issue. I don't think we're going to see the last of industrial buildings. And certainly this one's not going to be the last. So how do you mitigate these things when the point of entry might be Long Beach Harbor? Well, we have no control of what goes on there. How about LAX? Are you going to really kind of have controls from the trucks that drive there here on the freeway? Then it's jam-packed. What controls? And when they get to Paris, then you talk about truck routes and putting everything north. That's probably one of the only things you can do is kind of put it in a section, right? Where it's away from residential, where it doesn't abut those kind of things. I don't have the answer. That's all I'm really saying. I don't have it. So if somebody does, please tell me. But I haven't heard it yet in 19 years sitting here. I have not heard a response, not had it. So all it is the same stuff that kind of gets told over and over again, but I've still not heard answers to that issue. So as trucks, maybe we start getting away from diesel, maybe we start getting away from electric, and maybe you start getting in those areas, and then that's probably an answer. But that's state, that's private development, those are other entries. Is that 30 years away, 20 years away? I don't know. So for this project, which is basically the same as the one next to it, the same as the one north of it, the same as the one west of it, I don't know how you would isolate this project from the other ones, because it's a spec building, because I don't think you have a tenant yet, so we're still not even sure who's going to be in this building. But we know at Amazon they have a lot of trucks all the time, right? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But what do you do in that instance where you have an airport? They're not closing, guys. And March is not closing. I'll be dead before that even considered closing, right? 2090 maybe. So that's not even on the table. So I think I've answered the question for staff and answered the question in the sense of long term, we're just going to have to figure out ways to mitigate noise, to maybe concentrate it a little more in areas and not have them going down residential streets like we don't have them going south, and mitigate going west as far as possible and only use designated truck routes so they can go to Hardy Knox in that area. I think we pretty much kind of solved that issue, but I don't know what else you can do. I just hate to say this, I give up. And I don't give up easy on anything, but this is one of those things, there's no way to win this one. So I don't have a problem with this project. In essence, I think the designs are much better than they used to be. I think the colors are fine. I think you can always work with staff to add more blue or more gray or more rock veneer or stone veneer. But beyond that, I think we've kind of beat this thing when we talk about access inside. I think that's our purview. We can talk about coloration, windows, we can talk about circulation, and landscaping, which will take away some of that carbon, right? More trees and things like that. But I don't know beyond that what you can really do with this project. So I think it's pretty much set that if you say it's a light industrial area and they're coming with a light industrial project, what are you going to do? Okay. So that's kind of where I'm at. So a long speech for that. Okay.
Thank you. I wish we could have recorded that for plays in the future. That was great. And I agree with very much what you said. Coming back to the project itself, there's some underlying issues that I have. One is the actual color palette that you may like. Again, it's one of the same color palettes that I've been addressing, that it's a great color palette. I hope the staff can work with the applicant to develop a new color palette that looks better and uses different materials perhaps. So if we could do that, try to increase the landscaping, I think it would be very beneficial. Again, rework some of the drive inlets, protecting some of the employee traffic and parking areas from the truck traffic lanes. It's a big issue is down on the south along Redlands Boulevard. Being able to allow overflow traffic to be parked inside, on the exit route of the trucks is considerable an issue for me. Perhaps they can, replace it with landscaping if they have, I think I counted like 37 additional parking spots over parked. They can remove all that parking and resolve that issue right away if they have that number of parking spaces to be able to reduce. Those are the issues that I have. I think they can all be addressed with staff. And there's no other issues that I have with this project on those issues. Guys have any additional?
Did you want them, since it's a lot of developments coming up, did you want staff to kind of work with the architecture also because it's going to be kind of a general area, or do you mind if they all look a little bit different? Because they all kind of look a little bit different right now, so I don't know.
There should be
You're the
some,
expert.
There should be some congruency between all the projects coming in, but they all don't have to look the same. They all don't have to be the same colors. The color palettes, architecture, sometimes you steal something from one building and move it to your building, modify it a little bit and improve it from what it was down the street. So you can do those things with buildings close together. So, and that's something that I think staff can work on too with the developing projects in adjacent parcels.
Okay. I agree with that.
Thank you. Any further questions?
No, thank you so much. I agree.
Right. If there's no further questions, if we can have a motion for the approval with the adoption of number 21-12, and an underlined statement in addition to corrections on item 25, 10-inch wide instead of 12, 10 feet wide instead of 12 foot wide, islands, and then 14-foot asphalt paving instead of 10 feet. Number 36 is to relocate a basketball court to a different area, to, some park and overflow, add a condition to the turnout lane along Ryder, to create a turnout lane along Ryder for the trucks to come in. I believe that's all I had, unless there's further ones I missed.
Was that, it was 25, number 25, and then 21?
36?
36. There was no 21, right?
Was there 21?
21?
Was 21 the 14-foot lane to the 10-foot lane? From the 10-foot lane?
25, I thought.
Yeah,
I thought there was
25
25
going from
together.
14 to 10 or something?
That's part of 25 also.
Oh, 25?
Yeah, condition number 25.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And the isolation, right, of traffic for automobile and
Yeah, for trucks only.
Yep.
barriers.
Real quickly, the employee manual that's already in the condition, do you also want to add the condition about the landscaping? I know that was mentioned. Okay.
But it was 12%.
Yeah, the landscape, increase the landscape as much as possible. Yeah. Yeah, from 12.5%. So. Is there any further items that we need to include?
No.
If
Can
none,
you repeat them one more time? I'm sorry.
increase the landscaping, item 25, 10 feet wide from 12 feet wide, and then 14 feet asphalt paving from 10 feet. Item 36, relocate the basketball court, provide a turnout lane for the truck parking along Ryder. I believe that was it. Okay, if we can have a motion to include those items. Oh, we already got a motion? I'm not on that thing. And a second, I'm sorry. If we had the motion for that to include the requested action to include those 5 items in there, and we have a motion from Commissioner Jimenez and a second from Vice Chair Hammond.
Mr. Chair, if I may, given the lengthy list of changes that we're proposing, I wanted to make sure we understood what the motion was.
Yes.
So just to clarify, it's a motion to adopt resolution 21-12, which adopts the mitigated negative declaration 2358 and approving development plan review 19-0016 to allow the construction of a 324,147 square foot industrial warehouse building on approximately 16.25 acres of land located on the southeast corner of Ryder Street and Redlands Avenue, based on the findings and the conditions of approval, with certain changes to the certain items that are attached that will be included, which I'm going to turn over to.
I will attempt. It's to amend engineering condition 25 in regards to the median both on Redlands and Ryder Street. Add a condition for the transition lane on Ryder Street. Increase the landscaping to the extent viable. That includes trees and percentages. And I wasn't quite clear if there was a condition to amend the architecture, the color, or if that was satisfactory.
Work with staff to
Work with staff.
revise
Okay.
the color. And then you left out the basketball court relocation.
That was already in the
36.
planning condition.
Okay.
So.
Oh, okay.
Also to ensure that the southwestern is a truck only access. Right now it's vehicle on the map, vehicle access and truck. So it's supposed to be truck on the southern portion.
Yeah, so those barriers between auto and
Yeah.
Auto and
Yeah.
trucks.
yes, those separations.
Yeah. Right, right.
The auto and,
Right, truck,
okay.
yeah.
Yes.
So as a matter of procedure, I'm sorry, I forget who was the mover.
I was.
Commissioner Jimenez.
Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, and who's the seconder?
Chair Hammond.
And do you agree with that? Okay.
I think it's a challenge for them to work with staff to be able to get it completed, but there's a lot of items that need to be worked, and it's definitely going to be a challenge for staff and the applicant to get to that level. I think would be satisfactory to the commission. Right. If we could have a vote, please.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Commissioner Gomez, Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Hammond,
Yes.
Chair Shively.
Yes.
With a vote of 5 yes, this motion passes.
Thank you. If we can go to item 8, business items. There are no items at this time. If we can go to item 9, public comments. Any member of public wishing to speak to the planning commission regarding items not on the agenda may do so at this time. Or on Zoom. Seeing none and hearing none, I'll go ahead and close public comment and bring it to item 10, commissioner members' announcements and reports. Commissioner Jimenez.
I really want to commend staff for sitting through how long was this meeting? 3 hour and 15-minute hour meeting. Huge welcome to our new commissioners, Commissioner Lopez and Commissioner Gomez. Looking
Thank
forward
you.
to it. Just really huge thanks to staff for listening, for really making sure that applicants are clear on what our expectations are. I also just appreciate that Commissioner Hammond, Commissioner Gomez clarified for the community. I know some of them listen in, and I know a lot of us don't want warehouses, but we're kind of limited, so we are in a hard place, so we have to make those decisions. I think I equal that to, when you make really hard decisions at home and you have to take the route that is best for as many people as possible. I did want to just please remind staff if they would look into a few things for me. One of them was the amount of amenities depending on building size, and also the square footage, because one of them was only a 20 by 30 small area, possibly for a ping pong table inside. So if there's anything about sizing depending on the amenities, and if possible, if it would be, or what the standard is, or what we're seeing more of having air conditioning for those amenities when they're indoors. I know those warehouses don't have air conditioning. I just spoke to a friend who's working at one of the warehouses during this heat, and I feel for her very deeply. I've done it. My dad did it when he was already older, so I feel for that. The Aldi building is coming along. The Little
wow.
Caesars
I know.
and the KFC
Excited.
are coming along, so I'm excited. A lot of beautiful things. I like that, this commission really, really prides ourselves in making our city as beautiful as possible and working on greenery. Staff, I also wanted to bring up, I don't know how to integrate. I've been walking at the lake and driving down. We see buildings, so integrating landscaping or something so that, we're not just thinking about landscaping across the floor, but different elevations to make it.
Dimension.
Dimension, yes. I like art. And all I see is the top of buildings, and they're really ugly colored, so.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go up there and do some murals. But, yes, just huge thanks. I'm very happy to be back and be here for 4 years. I was reminded earlier. So, thank you. That was it.
Thank you, Commissioner Lopez.
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for welcoming me into the commission. This was my first meeting. I'm learning the process. I have a lot to learn, but like I said, I'm very grateful for this opportunity, and I'm looking forward to working with the city, working with for further projects, working on further projects. Also, I just want to say I hope everybody had a happy 4th of July. I want to give a big shout out to our local law enforcement and fire department. I know they're working a lot of hours over the weekend. And yeah, I just want to say thank you for everyone. That ends my comment.
Thank you, Commissioner Gomez.
Thank you, everyone, for the warm welcome, and very happy to be here. I know I'm going to learn a lot. Feel free to, give me advice and pull me aside and tell me to calm down. That's okay with me. Thank you, everyone, for your patience, for your welcome. And yes, I believe that every so often we can, re-inform the community. Just reiterate what we already have when we have new ears and eyes listening and watching us. Be a great way to educate them, because then that way we have the less negativity about what's going on and why is this, and then they're more understanding and more accepting of what's coming in, and then they can actually see what we can do and then focus on that. So yes, thank you so much for that, and I look forward to the next 4 years. This is going to be great.
Commissioner Hammond?
Yeah, I promise no 30-minute speeches this time. First, say thanks to the new members, because this isn't always the norm, but this commission has evolved over the years. I'm probably one of the OGs, and it's not mean gangster either. But I'm one of the, well, some people call me gangster. I come from gangster community. But it's been a long evolutionary process in the sense of we've come a long way. We've never been a rubber stamp commission, guys. And now even more so, we probably make staff go have hair turn white. And we're going to continue to do that, because I like doing that, because we have a great staff. So the greater the staff, the more I'm going to pressure them. But I really appreciate you. Just step right on in. You notice I do a lot of talking because we care about our city. That's why we're up here. If we didn't, we would just sit here and we could rubber stamp. Nobody's going to rubber stamp on planning commission in Paris. So we ask questions because we care, not because we want to be picky. Staff is very good. I think she's right, though. I think that one of the reasons people get angry about or get troubled about the warehouses, thing like, because they don't understand why you have to have them. So when you just point it out there, we're going to put one in, that's all there is to it. People don't understand that, well, you have it, as I constantly say at meetings, even my interviews when I come to me, you have this March effort, what are you going to do about it? Well, you have that balance. So if people understand the balance, they still may not agree with it. But the idea is at least you understand that these are some of the impediments. You have a freeway that cuts off Paris. I'm on the west side, and this is the east side, and this is the north side. It should be just Paris, right? But I think that's one of the reasons. It's the idea of educating the public, and that's one of the commission is that you have these impediments, but how do we overcome them? So you take the negative and try to turn it into positive. So what we've done is aesthetics, beauty, landscaping, things like that, and we start looking at those ways that we can at least have some impact. We can't change the whole environment, but we can at least change that much. And they're right about more landscaping. We don't want Minnesota here, guys, okay? but these guys make a lot of money. Don't think that they don't. Just look at their bank accounts of some of these developers. So they can afford to put planters in. They can afford to put grass. They can afford to do these things. And it just beautifies your city. So when you come into a city, you're not just looking at a building. You're looking at some landscaping, some beautiful design. Saying, oh, they really think about things in Paris. They care. And a lot of good things are going on. Getz Road is going through a lot of process, and I think that's good. Ryder Street's going through this transformation. But we're going to see a lot more stuff. Some of the stuff was voted on years ago, guys. And it's just now you're starting to see the fruition of it. That's why I'm not surprised, because I remember all these projects. But back then, it's like, I built a warehouse, smarehouse. No one's planning to do that 10 years ago. Oh, yeah, they're doing it now. And that's all they want is warehouses. Well, wait a minute. So, yeah, it's good things going on. And we have a good engineer here who tries to be quiet, but trust me, he knows what he's doing. But, welcome aboard. You get free food. We didn't get into that stuff, did we? They told us just get up here and sit down, right? So you guys are special. Food, they say.
Anything. We just
There's a cracker they threw it at us. Gee, thanks, it was 10 cents,
At least you got a cracker.
Yeah. Thank you to Sylvia. Please tell her thank you for that nice meal. I think there's still stuff sitting out there, so yeah. But thank you. Thank you, staff, and everything else. And we look forward. I'm sure we're going to have another meeting next time. And we're going to talk about in the future. I know what you're going to talk about, parkways, right? So you're going to mention that.
Thank you. Welcome, Commissioner Lopez and Commissioner Gomez, and welcome back, Commissioner Jimenez. I think we now have a commission that is going to be reactive to the things that are coming before us and create new standards that are going to be above and beyond what we've done before. It's important to be, as members of the commission, that we are vocal and not to be scared to voice our opinions and our concerns about any projects that we have before us, or any items that you see within the city that we can, at least, make known to the other community members. So it's important. We need to be strong leaders in the community, and this is one step for us to do that. Some of the items I think for the staff to look forward to, and I think you staff for including that remark for us on the EIR reports that we have, that we're not. It may be an individual project, but they're investigating, projects that are known to be in design right now or existing right now. So that's important. And if staff can actually investigate, trying to increase the landscaping requirements for these facilities, especially being like IDI was, creative in creating additional space with the fingers and diamonds in there. And the fact that, each parking spot, that they use is, just the parking spot itself is like 162 square feet. And then if they're over parking, why not reduce some of that parking to, within minimum standards and not go under it, and give us a little bit more landscaping if all possible. So that's it. So if we'll open it up to Director of Development Services.
Good evening, Chairman Shively and members of the Planning Commission. Good to be back. If you didn't know, I took a brief vacation, so I'm a little more refreshed. But I was ready for this evening. So, but just as Vice Chairman Hammond mentioned, in regards to the parkway landscaping, we have been in discussion with our Public Works Director to kind of figure out what is in the LMD and what is not in the LMD. There's a process of kind of figuring out all of this. We're working with our consultant, Wodan, to kind of go segment by segment of the city. That will take some time. I know that some things we'd like to get done a little quicker, but sometimes there's a process to it. And so we'll have that information. We're expecting October. I know that's a long time, but there's quite a bit of a process to figure that out. And hopefully by October, we'll have an exhibit showing all the areas that are in the LMD, so you can kind of figure out where these areas are at, and we can kind of have a discussion at that point. In regards to just upcoming city activities, this COVID memorial, just to recognize, I think on next Thursday, there'll be an email that'll be sent out by our Community Services Department. It'll be next Thursday at 6 p.m. The location will be at City Hall. If you can make it, as you know, COVID has impacted Paris significantly. There's at least, I think the count is about 200 people have passed in Paris as a result of COVID. So in terms of population percentage, that was pretty high even for Riverside County and for the state, based on our population count. So that is a significant number. So you can put that on your calendar. There should be an invite that will be sent later this week or early next week. And if you didn't know, the city has fully opened as of this week. So all our services are open. So you can contact us. We have in-person meetings now. We'll still try to take advantage of Zoom meetings if people want to have Zoom meetings, if they don't want to make the commute. But we are offering people both options at this point. And I do just want to recognize the reappointment of Jimenez. Good to have a consistency in the voice of the commission, but I also appreciate the new Commissioner Lopez and Gomez. We appreciate your input. I know that this is the first meeting and a lot of new information. I appreciate the feedback that you did provide. I just am in awe of Commissioner Gomez, just how much she soaked up the information for the first meeting and really looking through the secret document. So we do appreciate her quick and rapid transition into her new role. We're looking forward to Commissioner Lopez as he's coming and learning the rope himself too. So with that said, one final note, we do have a commission on July 21st. There's 2 items. So just,
21st?
I think it's July 21st.
You're right, 21st.
Yeah, yeah, it's in 2 weeks.
July 20. Wow. Yeah.
And then with that said, I will, I'm not sure if our interim
Kenneth?
director Candida has any.
Kenneth, for their sake, and I've done this every single time through the years, terms, even though they may pick up on the night like TPM, TTM, didn't you give us a sheet that explained those? It was a quick sheet, subdivision map. They're not going to know what we're talking about. But things like that, could you just give it to them? It would be nice if they had what a, tentative parcel map, tentative track map, blah, blah, map, DPR. It's not an illness,
Yeah.
It might help them to have a real quick cheat sheet so they get that, because tonight they were just hit with it, and I know I'm very sympathetic and very, when it comes to people coming on board, because I didn't have that. Then you get stuff thrown at you like, what? Abrogation easement. What are you talking about? No, that's not what that means. What does that mean? Okay, so things like that might, notice of airport vicinity, it might help. So I think you have that already, and you sent it to us, but it's been a while. That might help.
Yeah, we'll see if we can put something together. And I had on my notes from Kenneth's little speech, I had my notes, LMD, explain to new commissioners what that means. It's Lighting and Maintenance District, and your fellow commissioners have been very concerned about some of the areas, the parkways are not being maintained appropriately. So they've been asked us to look into it, and the issue for us is we didn't know which ones were owned by homeowners associations and which ones were actually owned and responsible. The city was responsible for maintaining them. So that's why we're looking at the LMDs, lighting and maintenance districts, to find out who's responsible for what. And it sounds like it won't be right away, but we are working on it, yes. I did want to tell you, if you haven't gotten a chance to see it, make sure that you do, because we had an unveiling, I believe it was last Thursday, of the first mural in Paris. And it's at 4th and D Street on the, on the northeast corner, the building that faces south, the elevation that faces south. And it is amazing, and it was done by a local man, a local artist from Paris. So that was really exciting. I want to welcome the new planning commissioners. We're really excited to have you on board, and anything that Kenneth and I or our staff can do to assist you, we'd be very happy with that. And I'd also like to, we're welcoming you, but I'd also like for you to say goodbye, and she's gone now, or she's left now, but Kathy Perry, who has been a consulting planner here, you've seen her on a number of projects. She is retiring, so this is her this was her last meeting with us. So she probably would have attended it, except that she broke her foot on Thursday. And it was like we were trying to get the packet out, and she broke her foot. So she was not able to come. But we wish her really well in her new life's adventures. So, and that concludes my report.
pet license from the comfort of their own home, as we have now moved to a fully digital platform. Beginning spring, the City of Paris Animal Control Division will be launching online license issuance and renewal services.